All right, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you see me? How are we doing? This is David Wilcock. It is great to be back with you today. And things look good. I am very, very happy to be here. And this again is Insider Revelations, Part 1. There I am in all my glory, ready for you. I showed up with my bells on, my whistles in place, all the bells and whistles you could ever want. Coming in fast. David Wilcock live on YouTube. That is right. Wow, Richard Whitney has already donated $222. Says, thank you, David, for all you do. He says, I know it sounds so repetitive, but genuine. May peace, love, and light be unto you and us all. Namaste. All right. Thank you, Richard Whitney. That is indeed very generous. And I'm very happy to be here. My life is going well. You know, we've got a lot of good things going on. You guys say I'm looking good in the image. I was your 300th like. Funny how I always wake up in the wee hours just in time for the show. It's 4 a.m. here in Japan. Woohoo! Another excellent Sunday with David. Nanasani says, I look very skinny. I hope you are okay. Well, I am doing fine. You know, the skinniness is part of the package, man. It's part of what you got when you got David Wilcock. Right as I was coming in, I had this whole thing happen where I scrolled out on the window, but I was able to Command Plus and get into the right size so I can read your comments, but it had scrolled out of the same thing. Joe Chapman says, what are we revealing now? I hope not another end of times or ascension. I got a bit tired of that. Well, no, we're going to be talking about insider testimony, talking about UFO truth and all these different things that really were, in many ways, how I got started here. We had 3 of our moderators show up at the same time. Sunny Skies, Scarlet Fire, Beverly Adams. She says, I'm in a cabin in the deep woods. My connection might be sketchy. Your windshield is bigger than your rearview mirror for a reason, says Scarlet Fire. All right. So yeah, it's great to be here today. Thank you guys for participating. Thank you guys for being a part of this. Okay, people have some funny requests that they want to have. No, we're not going to say that. Hello, great people. Greetings from the Canary Islands. Can we be done with the show now? Well, I don't know why you'd want to show up if you just want the show to be over. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But no, we got a good show for you guys. We are going to be talking about in this episode our cosmic history as it relates to UFOs, ETs, and so many things. Vacapalo just donated and says, good day to you all. That's a nice shirt color. And we've already got Ross Feinstein working moderation. Thank you very much. Another beautiful day in Southern Colorado. And we're already up to 1,405 viewers. So yes, life is good. Everything is great. I'm having a great day. I'm glad to be here with you. Let's talk some shop. Let's talk about what's really going on in the universe because, you know, we're seeing all these interesting things coalescing at the same time. And disclosure is happening. Disclosure is a real thing. And it's really kind of taken off. So I'm really excited. Greetings from Amsterdam, somebody says. I want snow, says Mrs. Smith. I don't know about that. I'm really glad that we haven't had any snow. And hit the like button. That's right. We're already up to 1,568 viewers. I was able to get my normal connection speed going, so everything is good today. I've been looking forward to this all week, says Doreen Clark. Always have a good stream on our end. Keep going. Yeah, so life is very good, and we're excited about the fact that disclosure is happening. This is not a joke, man. The powers that were are on the run, and they do not have the control that they would like to have over the narrative. So they are trying to steer the narrative in their favor. And I do believe that what we are seeing is a massive consciousness awakening taking place on the whole planet, where everybody is getting to see themselves and see a mirror reflection of things about ourselves, and truths that have been hidden for a very long time are coming to light. This is super exciting. We have never been alone. We have never been alone in the universe. We have never been alone in the cosmos. We are part of a living universe with intelligent life everywhere. It is teeming with intelligent life. It is not just the kind of thing where the intelligent life shows up once in a while. Going to a very snowy Tokyo this winter, I'm sure, somebody says. Smash the like button, says Ross Feinstein. That is right. Thank you very much for the Super Chat donations. Let's see if we had anything else come in. Oh, we did. Charlie Winter. She said, happy Sunday, everyone. Great to see you, David. Looks like you're staying in Colorado for the winter. Stay safe and warm. Absolutely. So, yes, we do need those donations, so please keep them coming. It's very, very good when you can do that for us. We really do appreciate that. And it helps keep the show on the air. So I'm happy. All of this time that we've been talking about UFOs, ETs, it's been kind of a fringe subject. That is all changing now. Everything is turned around, and it's becoming a much, much bigger story than it ever was before. That is super exciting for all of us because, honest to God, we deserve the truth. We are tired of not hearing from the authorities about what's really going on. We're tired of the lies. We're tired of the cover-ups. And so, yes, I'm definitely very interested in what's happening. Vacapalo, thank you for the donation. We're reaching critical mass number. We are one. Healing Through Energy says, dear people, raise your vibrational frequency and repeat this often. I am the light. I am the love. I am the truth. I am. Make this coded mantra your routine. It's critical, and raise your vibration now. Will you talk about Dolores Cannon at some point, says Maria Davis. I guess we could. Dolores Cannon hypnotized people and brought them into a trance state and got some very interesting results out of that. She wrote a number of books that I thought was, quite amazing in their own right. So yeah, we've got good stuff here, and I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to be on the air. However much longer that is, we'll keep on going as best we can. There's a lot of threats out there. The threat profile is very real. It's not a joke. This is hard work to do. It's not easy. So I'm trying my best, and I'm trying to be there with you guys. Can you bring back the light body and Padmasambhava? Well, that's not really what we're going to be doing today, but we keep the focus on the positivity. We keep the focus on the love. And so, yes, ETs have been here all along. The universe is teeming with intelligent life, and in this episode, we are going to get into, again, our cosmic history. I want to thank you all so much for showing up today. You are amazing. We really appreciate you, and I appreciate your presence here with me. I'm sorry if I was too chatty in the chat room last time with all the comments, but it is kind of addictive to get to interact with you guys. And Anna Nishida says, I was trying to explain to my ex what's going on. He's so against the truth. It was his birthday. I decided to keep quiet, LOL. So anyway, we are ready for so much more. We're ready for the truth to come in, and ETs are going to bring us a lot more information than what we already have. There's family out there. There's cosmic galactic family that we have never lost track with. We just simply, temporarily, they've been outside of the spotlight, but they kind of pulled back for the good of humanity. The mission of Christ is very important to them. The mission of Jesus to bring out this pathway to salvation, this pathway to redemption, and the idea that you can, in fact, be spiritually lifted and brought to a higher level through forgiveness, through compassion, through love. That is the Christ message. I believe it resonates consistently through all religions, and it's very, very good. So Nina Bravo just donated $10. Thank you very much. Jeannie Blankfeld said, no apologies, David. It's hard being alone. We are your family. If you don't interact in your chat, people complain about that too. We are here for you. Be you. We love you. Thank you very, very much. So yeah, we're good. And somebody said over 2,000 people are watching, but only 208 likes. So please hit the like button. That's right. Shannon Collins said, I would love to meet our ET friends. So when you start to live this authentic life, when you start to follow these ancient spiritual teachings of forgiveness and compassion and love, lo and behold, all these cool things start to happen. Your life becomes expansive. Your life becomes more alive. And you start to live that promise that the ancient teachings foretold, which was that you will emulate the Christ in your own behavior, in your own life. You will emulate that one infinite creator, and you will start to live a more peaceful, more fulfilling, happier life. And that's really good. We don't want to be stuck down in negativity. So we want to be able to keep positive as much as we can. And that is a very important focus for us. These ancient beings that showed up and gave us various religious teachings and scriptures, they always emphasize the importance of tuning in, being yourself, having this focus on the love and the light of the one infinite creator. That is what it's all about, man. So we want to keep that focus alive. And you are doing that with me by co-creating this space that we have together here. David Jones says, I'm a big fan. I love you more than Elvis, and that's a good thing. We love you, David. Thank you for your messages. All is mine. Mind is all is one, says Trent Malik. You may need to refresh to get your likes to update. Okay. So what ETs do you know about? Well, we're going to get all into that. There are a large number of different ETs that have visited Earth, and it is a very good thing that they do, because we would be subject to all kinds of negativity if we didn't have their protection. I do believe that God is real. I do believe that Christ is real. I do believe in Jesus. And we had another donation here from Snoramore, $49.99. Thank you very much. And he says, sitting out in the cold by a little campfire, listening to your message. Love listening to you on Sundays. That is awesome. Thank you very much. Kayla Rosen, thank you, David, for making Sundays so special. I appreciate your teaching so much. And that was $20. Charlie Winter donated $10. Can you explain how Christ and Jesus are seen by our ET cousins? Sending love. Yes. So Christ and Jesus are definitely seen as the Logos. This is the mind of our galaxy, the mind of our star. Jesus, essentially, in the Law of One tradition, is the embodiment of the galactic mind. And that's a really, really heavy concept. When you start to get into this type of cosmic tradition, we're looking at a cosmic Christ model. And one of the insiders that really hit me hard back in the day was Dr. Courtney Brown. And he was the one who was talking about how big the universe really is. He's got remote viewing going, and he was doing it. And in the heyday of Art Bell, he was looking at the comet Hale-Bopp companion. That was another example of thinking there was a spaceship going on. Anita Tompas just donated $20. Thank you very much, celebrating your 10th super chat. Really appreciate you being here. So yeah, Dr. Courtney Brown mentioned in his remote viewing that he remote viewed Jesus and that it was the galactic mind, and I think that was right on. The Law of One basically says the same thing. Joe Moreno, I had a dream of a family member turning into Jesus Christ, dressed in a white robe, and smiled at me before he spoke. But before he spoke, I woke up. Awesome. Thank you very much. I love the fact that you guys are in there working everything with my moderation team. That is so awesome. I've got a great moderation team now. It was easy to do. Love your show. Ignore the trolls. They are ignorant, says Lucinda Gallin. Yes, that's what we're going to do. Yep. So we're working that whole process. And thank you for that. Smash the thumbs up button and like it, says Rio Dragon. So yes, Jesus is the Logos. That also means love. That also means creator. The word Logos is the term Logos, believe it or not. Kate Calico's in Space says, I don't know why, but I feel like you need a flamingo prop or a shirt, LOL. Josh O here can't super chat on the main account for some reason. Well, thank you anyway for the $5 donation. That is fantastic. We really appreciate your help there. So life is good. And we already have 2,363 concurrent viewers watching right now. That is incredible. We're already at 3,547 views. Life is going very well. So Yvette Mancuso says, I would like to know why I still feel stuck, like I've gotten nowhere. Well, these are the times we're in. Confusion is part of the game. We're part of this intelligent cosmos. We're developing ourselves spiritually. That is what we're here for. And it takes time. It takes time to evolve through these grades of evolution that the universe gives us. In the Law of One, they're called density levels or densities. Some of you guys want to hear about 3i Atlas. We'll talk about that too. So We definitely have a lot of things to talk about today. But yes, why does it feel so bad? Why does it feel so crappy? It's a time of global initiation. We're going through a mass initiatory experience. Annette Chastain, thank you very much for the donation. I certainly hope you don't think I'm a troll. I'm a soul going through extreme poverty. Do you understand what it's not like to even be able to afford gas? Yes, I do. Absolutely. It's been a very intense time for me too, because my local grocery store cannot afford their own inventory. So this week, there really was not very much food at all. I've had to actually, believe it or not, I've had to carefully ration my supplies this week, and that has caused me to have constipation and ongoing insomnia as a result of the stress that I've had to go through. So I definitely understand everything you're talking about here, 100%. Let me just, got to get that guy. We had a little spider incursion coming in. We took care of that. Sorry if you don't like the fact that I did that. Hi, David. Did you get the poster we sent? Yes, I did. Thank you very much. Mary Flowers donated $20. God bless you, David, and your faith work. Thank you very, very much. I really, really appreciate that. We're already up to 2,600 viewers holding true live. So yeah, let's be grateful for our lives. Let's be grateful for what we do have and try to hold on to all of the things that are good about life. It's a very positive thing. And somebody, Maria Davis says, it's taken me 3 years back in Al-Anon to stop screaming at the coolers over the prices. It's progress, it's evolution, LOL. Maria Sawyer is 1 month sober. That is awesome. So yeah, we're all growing, we're all evolving together, and that's a brilliant thing to have when you can really see that even with the problems that we're having, there is forward momentum, there is spiritual inertia that takes on its own inevitable truth. CEF Ventures, I'm not sure why you're so focused on trying to get me to humiliate myself. Thank you, Ross Feinstein. Very, very silly. But anyway, some people just want to see me be goofy or silly or something like that. They just want to laugh at me, I guess. That's what that was about. But anyway, stay positive and turn the TV off. It's a good time. It's a good time to be alive. And we have some deals vectoring in with Stavati. I can't really go into detail, but you know that's going to really save my butt. And so the next month is very, very critical for us. We really hope that things will happen the way that they're supposed to happen. And first, we are going to be covering a bit of current events. I think this is an essential element to talk about what's going on right now. Diane and Owen just donated $22. Love you, David. We're regular followers. Happy to be here with you today. Thank you very, very much. To people who feel stuck, raise your vibration. Repeat often, I am the light, I am the love, I am the truth. High vibration is the solution. Dark can't survive. All right. So yes, 2,700 people are watching now. We're having everybody roll in. This is great. It means that we can really start the main content of the show. We're going to cover a bit of current events. So first of all, just to underline how intense everything is right now, we had a major coronal mass ejection hit the Earth on Tuesday, causing amazing aurora borealis. And this was the headline: the cannibal CME raising risk of ground-level radiation surges and threats to critical infrastructure. So this was on Tuesday, and yes, sure enough, I did actually see some very, very red aurora borealis that was coming out in the local neighborhood around the house here. We saw it over there in the sky. It was pretty amazing. And if you watch it over time, it changes. And again, it always looks better if you film it than if you actually just look at it with a naked eye. So you can look at it with your device, hold your device up, and you're going to get much better looking images than you would just get from, from just looking at it with the naked eye. And so it's always interesting to shoot your own films and get that going. Thank you guys. I'm just checking out your comments as it goes along, and you are being very nice to me. So the Lord is returning. They are going to cover it up as an alien invasion, says Kem Kuv. Not sure about that. I remote viewed 3i Atlas. It was very interesting, says One Tayton. It's a craft with benevolent beings to help our ascension. It is beautiful. Do not fear. We need to collectively raise our ascension. Yeah, so the coronal mass ejection thing, let's talk about that first. I believe that this is a function of us interacting with the sun and our mass consciousness that, as we go through distress on Earth, as we go through distress as a planet, it starts to affect everybody else's life, and we're all being dragged through some sort of mass initiation together. That's just the way it works. So without our support, without your super chats, we really need those. Thank you very much so far. Everybody's been doing great on that, and anybody else who wants to step up, I'm really happy if you do. DC Knowledge and Entertainment says, above all going on, I'm glad I can be here today. It's so much needed. I sit here in an old RV using my McDonald's Wi-Fi, sitting on my bed with my dog. I'm thankful to even have this. I guess he's got Wi-Fi from McDonald's. Okay, well, good enough. A beautiful rainbow appeared as I arrived, says Richard D. Iall, the Cowlitz Elder. Thank you for being here again today. So we've got a great show here. Let's talk about that CME a little bit more. The sun is interacting with our mass consciousness. That's very important because as we go through life, as we go through these learning experiences, we are collectively growing and evolving as a people. And with that collective initiation, with that consciousness expansion, we are starting to have more and more telepathic interaction with our environment. And that is part of the ascension process. So it is interesting that this solar event took place immediately before the shutdown came to an end. It was only 2 days later that the shutdown finally comes to an end on Thursday. After 43 days and 14 failed votes, the shutdown finally came to an end. And once again, I think that our mass stress about starvation, there's 40 plus million people that were on SNAP. So like, what's going to happen to them if they can't get their food? How are we going to live through that? What's going to be the result for society? And at the last minute, it all worked out. Thank God. Woo, it was so scary. This absolutely qualified as a scare event. But thankfully, no major negative events occurred. We had actually a really positive situation develop in which we're seeing now that, everybody's okay, and we got through this just fine. So Anita Constant says, I'm sending positivity. I hope I can quit smoking. Thank you very much. She just donated $20. And that you can see that right there. And we're up to 3,003 viewers only at the half-hour mark. That is excellent. So again, thank you guys all for being here. Then we had a bit of a curveball. And the curveball started out from the political left side. And it was this very salacious rumor that comes up, supposedly from the files, from these emails saying that our hero out there was engaged in some very, very strange stuff. And then this turned into a counterattack. What the heck just happened? Where you can see it on this headline here. They're calling it the Friday night meltdown, that he yanks his endorsement and mocks the remarriage after the wife's death. Both of these people have defied him on the transparency issue and U.S.'s support. So, whoa, what the heck was going on there? It was definitely a very provocative, shocking type of event. Not really sure if I believe that it's all as real as you want to think it is. I always want to take these things with a grain of salt, so I'm still, I'm just willing to look at it and see, okay, what is actually going on here? Moon it back, thank you. And we have Valerie Afraiman. I've been following you for many years, David. I fully support you. Many blessings for continued success in your work and your life. We have Roger Zubarik. David, since you may have some connections, is there any chance of getting off this rock? We are all glad that you are here again. Thank you. Thank you, Roger Zubarik. You've been a really great, loyal donor for a long time. Oh, wow. The Sunflower Life just donated $333.33. That is incredible. That is a wonderful donation. Every grain, every speck of spiritual light that we attain is meant not for ourselves, but that it may be used for the benefit of human consciousness until human consciousness is entirely dissolved and nothing remains but that mind, which was also in the enlightened ones. Kiki says, David, you are so wonderful at this live stream. You are engaging, but it's not easy at a fast pace. Okay, well, I'm trying not to be too fast, but thank you for the notes. I know some people are not native speakers, And I do get a little manic sometimes in the way that I'm talking, but that's okay. Kellyanne donated. Thank you very much. We are doing great here. So again, you guys are awesome. We're at 3,142 live viewers. So, dude, I don't know what the heck was happening with this whole situation of the mudslinging. And isn't it strange that they both want transparency? They both were some of the most outspoken people saying we want these files to come out and we want this support to go down. And then he goes and swings at him. So it's like outrageous mudslinging going on from both sides. And you got to wonder, okay, what's behind all this exactly? What are we really seeing here? Again, the attack that came from the D's, which we're not going to go into any detail about, except that it was extremely salacious. It sounds incredibly implausible to me. You know, the text in that email, if you actually looked at it, it's a different color. It's blue. It's like, And it seems very, very unlikely, implausible to me, but I first heard about it talking to my friend Jude, who's now living in Iowa with his wife, and one of his coworkers in the restaurant. I'd called him up, and the coworker starts talking about it out loud. And so I think some people were, you know, it's almost like it gave them what they wanted. It gave them some type of narrative that they wanted. So that's something that, you know, if there are people who are already inclined to hate, they might see this as sort of like a Christmas gift. Yes, Joe Moreno, it is very strange to see how all of this is being handled between 47 and MTG. And I agree completely. It's like, what is really going on here? And is this what we think it is, or is this something else? I don't know the answer yet. I'm just willing to keep an open mind, because right now both sides sound like high school bullies. And again, if he was going to make a public statement, any of his public statements are subject to review. You would think that he would have a team around him of people who are going to be making sure that these types of gaffes don't get made, that these types of obviously injurious statements wouldn't go out there unless there was an intention behind it. So again, I'm not trying to justify the languaging. I thought the languaging was immature. As I said, it's like a high school bully. But I'm just interested in trying to get to the bottom of things and figure out what's happening and how does it really affect us? What are we really learning from this? What's the takeaway? And this is obviously all tied in with disclosure, I believe, because big moves are going on behind the scenes. And David, he's always telling us the truth. That's right. Thank you. It's part of the Wakey Wakey program, somebody says, Beverly Adams. So, you know, we're definitely working hard to get through all this, and we're definitely looking at, okay, what's the real agenda here? What's the real story that we're not being told? How can we accept more and more of ourselves, more and more love and peace? Rob Lee donated, thank you. And New Zealand Day donated 100 New Zealand dollars to help with some groceries. Been following you since 1999. I knew you were right the first time I heard you. Thank you for decades of knowledge and entertainment. Love to all. That is awesome. Thank you very, very much for that donation. We really, really appreciate it greatly. And life is going great for me. So, yes, that's true. You can get YouTube Premium, $14 a month, ad-free, YouTube Music Tube, YouTube Recorder too. That is awesome. And then you don't have to worry about the commercials, and you just get to see me uninterrupted, and it's totally worth it. So, yeah, what is going on with this? Is this really just a straight-ahead attack? And why wouldn't he want these files to come out? Well, it starts to look like he's afraid that he's going to be hurt by it coming out. But isn't that more of the same WrestleMania stuff that we've been talking about? I think it could be. So I'm just, again, open-minded. Now, if you just can't stand him, I understand that. I know there's a lot of people out there with that perspective. And everybody in my family, apart from me, is very far left. So this is, in order to talk to my family, I have to be able to, you know, see and hear the alternative view. And I think it's important that we try to unify, we try to come together, we try to find common ground with each other. This is very important. And yeah, so why would he be attacking two of the people who are the strongest proponents of seeing this information come out? Because the optics are terrible. I mean, if you look at what is happening, it appears that it's causing an incredible erosion of his support from his own base. and looking at articles on one of the websites that I read, the news website, almost every comment was negative. It's like, wow. And you had to subscribe. Okay, we've got content. Content is here. We're talking about content right now, you guys. I'm not trying to chatter too much. So this is the story. The story is, what is it really going on? Why did this happen? What's the big agenda here? And I think it's all related to disclosure as well. Would this have been allowed to be happening randomly? I don't think so. I don't think this would happen randomly at all, because major disclosures are getting ready to break, and that is such an important part of the process. We had Journey to Truth podcast donate $20. Be on the lookout for our documentary. You're doing amazing work. It's called Behind the Green Door. You know, that's I don't know about that. You might want to have a different name there, because that's a name that I think is associated with an old movie. Not really sure. Anyway, Beverly Adams, how do you get to the general public to demand something? Tell them they can't have it. It's a war strategy. And so we we love the chat. David Wilcock says Kiki. Thank you very much. Anyway, what we've got here is this very strange. Maybe it's a kayfabe, you know. Maybe that's what's going on again. And I'm just willing to open up my mind and think about the fact that, yes, this very coming week, they're getting ready to open these files up. And so what are we going to learn? I don't know, but I'm still questioning everything that we see. We may be seeing some sort of kayfabe going on. That is entirely possible about what we might be dealing with right here. So the next 90 days have also been flagged as being of pivotal importance. This is something that doesn't always happen. Sandra Davis donated $50, and she says, thank you so much, David. Thank you, Sandra. We really appreciate your help. Yeah, so this was an interesting one. The Alliance source rarely gives any dates, so this is significant. Now, first of all, we see him there, urgent update from the PM, and he actually says that he likes that somebody is asking him on camera if he likes, how does he like popcorn? And he mentions that he likes it salted, not oiled. So, of course, the popcorn metaphor seems to be a metaphor about major things getting ready to happen, major changes starting to occur. You know, big stuff. So grab the popcorn is a colloquialism that we've come to hear quite a bit. And they say, get your popcorn ready. The next 90 days, define everything. So define everything certainly sounds pretty big. I mean, we don't know exactly what that means yet, but it definitely has the promise of the premise in it big time. And so I think that many things are going to come to light. I think there's going to be many surprises. I think these files coming out is very significant. And again, why would you make a public statement like that that's injurious to other people, that gets you in trouble? Why would you sacrifice so much political capital? Wouldn't somebody have told him not to do that? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe he just gets to say whatever he wants. But I would expect that there's some type of oversight, some type of discussion. If there was anything against him that they would have had, they would have presented in 2016 or 24 to make him lose. I would tend to agree with that. But again, it's fascinating how many people have, you know, as often is the case, if you make a public statement like this, people are going to get mad and they're going to turn on you, and there seems to be a widespread amount of that. HWMO Liberty says, thank you for all you do. That was a donation. Joseph Dunkel said, thank you, David, for all the great information. Keep up the great work. And that was a $20 donation. So I'm not really sure what's going on here, but you know, we definitely are in a very interesting time that looks like it's building up to major disclosure, and it seems like it just keeps on speeding up, and we don't know where it's going. But again, I question the whole process of what we're seeing right now. I don't really know what it is. Rob Lee donated, said, I was remote viewing 3i Atlas and you were steering it, David. Then I realized it was a flashback from my college chemistry class. All right. Well, I'm happy that I could drive. So life is good, and we've got a big amount of stuff getting ready to happen. If the next 90 days are going to define everything, that certainly sounds big, indicating that major events will take place. Now, this was another really provocative and strange thing. I told you guys yesterday to watch the next 90 days, and he just dumped her. The battlefield is fake, but the war is real. It's time to once again expand our thinking. So there is a real war, but he said the battlefield is fake. So again, that implies that, you know, you are watching a movie. That's what Beverly Adams just said right here. Donated $10. Thank you very much. Yes, it feels like that, doesn't it? It feels like there is something more to this story than what we see. There's something going on underneath the surface, and it's a very interesting and bizarre time to be alive, because it's time to once expand our thinking once again. We'll expand our thinking to where? So again, from this whole thing, it appears that he does not want this data to emerge, whereas the two of them were both pushing for the release. So is this really true, or is it some type of deception operation? Well, I don't know the answer, but I also never look at things face value. What will happen once these files come out? It could be very, very major changes. It could change everything about our lives, everything about the world. And let's also remember that they can only do this once. So I'm not saying I justify the statements. I don't. Hurtful things are not the way I want to work my public persona. It's like, wow. But is he deliberately playing a heel role? That is possible. Certainly not willing to rule that out. And I'm just asking questions, folks. I have no solid opinions at this point. But if the opponents think that this is going to hurt him when it comes out, then maybe they will want the information. So that could be what we're seeing. You know, it might be that they really want this. It could be that it was a coordinated effort to get people to think that he is fighting like crazy for this stuff not to come out, so that people are even more anticipating that they want it to come out, and they don't realize what the ultimate upshot will be. I think a lot of people still don't understand the big picture, as we've been talking about on this show for a very, very long time. There's nothing new about that. Expand our thinking that we are all one, says Vacapalo. Thank you. Yes, that's true. Don't get hung up on the words. It's all part of a narrative. I'm tired of kayfabe, tired of nothing burgers. Three Eye Atlas is the final straw. So yes, Vacapalo, thank you for the donation. And we've been watching a movie for a long time, but for a good reason. My suffering and chronic pain is over. I declare it to be so. All right. So again, I think that this is not what it looks like. This is my prevailing opinion right now, because why would you just want to do Harry Carey if you don't have to? So I just, again, it's a very, very weird situation. They want the opinion, they want the information if they think it's going to hurt him. There's a great deal of anger out there on cyberspace. On the surface, it just looks really bad, alienating the base. And many, if not most, commentators have said, I have had it, just like Angry Daddy would. The comments on ZH here on this particular article, if you read through the comments on there, they are almost 90% angry. So many people saying, I'm done. I don't support him anymore. I'm out. I don't want to have anything to do with this. The whole thing is annoying. So yeah, I seek to understand why this kind of a statement would be made. Yes, it could be reverse psychology. David, it is very boring. Either do the presentation or stop and answer the chat. Otherwise, it will be annoying. Well, I'm doing both. But we've got a lot of people watching. We're up to 3,700 viewers. So I think that we're doing fine as far as the total amount of public support. There's all sorts of unexpected data getting ready to break loose here, folks. And so I think that disclosure could be an effort for mass distraction. So yes, the UFO component is very important here, that we are seeing part of this coordinated effort, I believe. Isn't it strange that you got this Age of Disclosure movie coming out at the same time that we've got this very big buzz around Three Eye Atlas? And Three Eye Atlas, I mean, honestly, never in the history of the media, of anything that I've seen before, have we seen so much buzz around the idea of creating some type of UFO type of event. I mean, it's very, very interesting what's going on. The amount of hype that this thing is getting, and it's all really centered around this Harvard professor, Dr. Avi Loeb. He's on mainstream media all the time. He's on television all the time. And they're consistently saying that they think this thing is some sort of extraterrestrial craft. I mean, it's a very, very strange time to be alive. Somebody says, don't listen to that guy, you're doing great. I appreciate it. Obviously, we got 3,600 reasons for why we're doing great. Please cover your main highlights on 3i Atlas. What was it? Where was it from? Did NASA show any real close-up images? I don't know what it is, okay, but I do believe, first of all, I was meditating on this last night. I was thinking about the fact that, okay, when you look at this object, it definitely is doing strange stuff. It came out from the direction of the WOW signal. If it is a comet, it's behaving in very strange ways. It's got nickel coming off of it instead of normal carbon dioxide. The trajectory that it's on is very strange. And it's a very large object. It's like bigger than the size of Manhattan, 33 miles long, apparently. So is it possible that this is just a totally random thing? I don't think so. The fact that it's zooming in towards the ecliptic is very strange. We wouldn't have expected an extrasolar object to do that. The fact that it's zeroing in so close to the planets is very strange. And that suggests, again, that this is somehow being steered or directed or something. So then the question is, since it does have all these anomalous properties, is it actually extraterrestrial at all? Or is it built by our own swamp? And are they deliberately creating something like this in order to steer a narrative in a particular direction? And that is where I would tend to want to go with this. I think that this is probably either a natural object or something that was intelligently built by us. We look at our solar system as if it's so huge, but if you have basic anti-gravity technology, hover cars, it's really not a big deal to take an object and position it outside our solar system and steer it in. It seems like it's so far away to us right now, like, oh my God, this came from outside the orbit of Pluto. Yeah, that's nothing. If you have spaceships that can do interstellar travel, if you can travel between stars, then getting one to fly in from the outside of our solar system is no big deal. So it could be a natural object that they found out there in space, or maybe it's an ancient spaceship or something, who knows? But I think it's possible that it could have been steered in, just sort of like you would tow it into position and then release it. And at the same time, it also could be something that was entirely built by our own secret space program, because we got to remember what we were hearing all the way back in the Disclosure Project in 2001. One of the most important things that came out of this, and remember now, we're talking about something from 24 years ago. Pretty amazing it's been that long. Dr. Karl Wolfe was the secretary or admin for the head of NASA who came over from Germany, Dr. Wernher von Braun. And you got to remember what he said on his deathbed, that the swamp knows that there is this great opposition that's coming up against them from everywhere. And he said the final card will be a fake alien invasion. And it will all be a lie. So they have prepared for this. They know that there's groups in their own military-industrial complex, groups that have been funded by them, groups that got money from covert black-operated projects. And they know that there is an opposition, and that at some point that opposition is going to make its move. And I do believe this administration, with all of the flaws and the warts and things that upset people, I do believe this administration is part of that work to try to bring us to a safe place, bring us to a higher level. So yes, Ezra has had a lot to say about this over time. Due to the threat profile, as I've told you guys before, and due to the fact that I don't have the same kind of protection around me that he does, I don't feel comfortable reading those slides. I do deeply apologize to the Alliance and to 47 for this. But, at the same time, I absolutely believe that they are working a plan of some kind, that there is an agenda, there is a hope for humanity, something that we're all going to get out of this. So again, what did he say? He said the final card will be a fake alien invasion. This was Dr. Wernher von Braun, and it will all be a lie. So there are groups of people that are very powerful here, and they have incredible amounts of control over the media, over the financial system, corporations in general, and they do not want to be exposed. They do not want the truth to come out. In fact, they would rather ruin the planet than to actually be exposed. This is something a lot of us don't realize. So if you had some type of a false attack, which this ship 3I Atlas may actually create for us, that false attack could actually, be something that distracts and unifies the entire world. So Chris is saying, who is Ezra? I've not watched your show in a very long time. Please cover your main highlights on 3 Atlas. What was it? Where was it from? Did NASA show any real close-up images, etc.? So let me be clear. I don't have any omniscient intelligence. I don't know what this thing is, but my own Michael Prophecies readings that we were seeing a few weeks ago was saying that it could be something that acts threateningly in the future. And I am definitely prepared for that to be a possibility, that that's where this is going to go. So I just don't know exactly what we're seeing yet, but I want to be clear that whatever it is, it's behaving in very strange and anomalous ways, and we know that. So for me, it's a very interesting thing, and it seems like the comments have frozen. Are you guys writing any comments? I'm just curious. Maybe you're just actually listening now. Is this real data or is this made up nonsense? Okay, well, my comments seem to have frozen. I don't know why I'm not getting anything. Let me write something here. We'll just see. But yeah, it's interesting that I'm not getting any comments at all. I don't know why that's happening, but hopefully you guys are still there. I'm not seeing anything. Okay. So that's a very strange thing, the stuff that I'm talking about, and then the comments have basically frozen at this point, which is very strange. That's never happened before. So we're up to 3,928 concurrent viewers, and that's great. So you guys are still here with me. I just don't have any comment interaction at all. I'm not sure why that is. But let's make sure that we keep on focusing on things. So we're talking about blue beam, that there would be a huge distraction coming in when they are close to the end. And this is exactly the type of thing that I was hearing about from Uncle Jack, one of my insiders. He was talking about a build up to this all the way back in 2010. So I don't know. The comments seem to have completely disappeared. I haven't seen anything going on now in quite a while. I'm not really sure what to do about that. I guess it could be that there were keywords or something like that, that maybe I said the wrong thing. Who knows? Woo! But it's basically gone at this point. That's very strange. I'm not sure what else I could do to try to keep it going. Maybe if I tried to hit refresh, that would work, but I'm not sure if that's going to do anything good or not. And I don't have any way to interact with you guys. So let's see if my friend is watching. You can text me on the phone, and I'll get that text message and find out what's going on here. But yeah, we have lost our comments completely. And that really sucks, because that means I can't interact with you guys anymore. Not sure what to do here. I guess we'll keep the show going, but now it's just a broadcast for me. Maybe I should try to hit refresh. Let me just try that, see if that does anything. We'll try that right now. See what happens. Okay, yeah. Whoops, your tab just crashed. Choose restore this tab to reload the page. That's what we're doing. All right. Yes, I've got my chat back. Now it's back. Okay, great. So you can see all the comments. Perfect. I just had to hit refresh, and it worked. And okay, great. Thank God. Thank God we got the comments back. I'm not sure what happened here. I've never had that happen before. Thank God. Woo! We did it. We got the comments back. I was willing to take a big risk. And yes, it actually happened. That was something, that was my own scare event. You're right. Crashes for me 5 times a show, says Ross Feinstein. And there was much rejoicing. Yay, says Rio Dragon. Whoa, my God. I got to just process this trauma, you guys. Like, I really thought that whatever I talked about, that we finally went a little bit too far and, you know, something went wrong. But nope, we are back, and I am seeing you guys' comments. Thank God. I was the only one that got blocked. It just totally stopped and it froze. But we're at 4,000 viewers and it's still going. No, I don't want to have another device watching the live stream because then I lose my bandwidth, and that's what happened 2 weeks ago. That's how I found out that it occurred. That, you know, why? You remember when I was having all the problems with, like, it was turning red and the stream was buffering and all that? That was because I had something, you know, that was loading. So it was loading into my laptop. I had an open instance of our chat window in my laptop. And so my server was trying to parse 2 live streams at once. Yes, thank God. We've got all the comments back now. Dude, that's like probably about the scariest thing that's ever happened to me during live streaming at all. And so I'm really, really glad that we were able to fix that problem. It's Nibiru. They don't want you going there. Nibiru is a Dyson sphere. Take a deep breath. Glynis Elaine says it's all good. That's right. And you can't donate if the comments don't work. That's true, but you guys are doing great. We've had, yeah, so it was a YouTube glitch. Man, talk about stress. That really blew my stress into a whole new level, but hey, we're back, and you guys are still here. You are amazing, says Tony Powell. It's crazy watching YouTubers get PTSD when they think their channel was taken away. I know that. 7 Geometric Thought Forms just donated. I love the clips where you involve animals around your house. Funny laughing squirrels are the best. Absolutely. So, yeah, we are back. So I don't know what's happening here, but again, it's a very curious thing that all the way back in 2010, my insider Uncle Jack from Australia predicted that we were going to see when they were, it was very similar to the Carol Rosin disclosure, and she's one of the insiders I met. He said that there was going to be, when they were running out of time, that they had like 6 different plans in place of what would be some type of staged invasion. So I was warned about a staged invasion, again, all the way back in 2010, and told that one of the forms that it could take place would be exactly like what we're seeing. So it was a very curious thing all those years ago to have this very prominent insider who claimed that he had worked as a hitman for the swamp, telling me that one of their big plans was that there would be what appears to be an incoming spaceship. And we talked about it at great length, that it would be on all the world's media, that there would be a big buildup that would last over a prolonged period of time, and that they were going to keep on stirring it up with fear, that the fear factor would build and build and build, that this is potentially hostile, that this is alien, that this is something dangerous, this is something that can hurt us. And sure enough, that's exactly what we're seeing. Vicky Crew Fuller, thank you very much. And Vacapalo, blue beam to deceive. Yes. You're not going to be down, bro. The truth will never be silenced, says Deborah Ouellette. Somebody's saying it's just a comet. Well, if it is just a comet, it's a very strangely maneuvering comet. It definitely is got these anomalies that wouldn't normally appear to be happening in terms of it going right in through the ecliptic plane, going right in towards the planets. You wouldn't normally expect an extrasolar object to do that, but it suggests that it's under either intelligent control or that they might have steered it into position this way. So I don't really know what it is. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have omniscient intelligence, but the fact that I had this briefing all the way back in 2010 and the fact that they're getting ready to release the files right now, it's very strange that we have this Age of Disclosure documentary that's coming out, and we have this incoming invasion, this incoming object, And those things are both happening at the same time as we have what looks like disclosure of compromising information getting ready to be released. So just want to make sure what is really going on here? What is this? And who is on what side, and what's really happening? So I definitely believe that we are seeing a controlled release of information, that this is like it's got an intelligently steered agenda behind it. Almost every day, when you're looking at the media, there is some new speculation about Three Eye Atlas. And, it's just this unrelenting driving of the same message over and over again, that every little thing that they see about it, every little thing that it does as it's moving along is supposedly part of the proof that it's extraterrestrial and that it's got this intriguing aspect to it. And I'm just like, why are they making such a big deal out of this? Why is it something that's in the media every day? It's just this narrative that keeps on updating with new things all the time. Again, almost every single day, they just keep adding to the narrative. But at the same time, I'm tired of the pace being so slow and limited in scope. It's just like, how much I can't really get excited about talking about this week after week. That's why I'm not just going to make every show be a Three Eye Atlas show, because it's like, well, how much can we talk about it? How much can we keep duplicating the same content? I find myself getting bored with all these drips of disclosure. It's just coming out one tiny drip at a time. And to me, it just feels like the story is being steered and controlled for an outcome. And so maybe I will be able to help inspire them to expand this narrative and get it beyond such a limited scope. Oops, sorry, I thought I was on the slides, but I'm not. So let's go back to that now. So here was what I was saying. I'm tired of the pace being so slow and limited in scope. Every day there's some new speculation. I find myself getting bored with all the drips of disclosure. And I feel the story's being controlled to steer an outcome, as I was just saying. So maybe I'll inspire them to expand the narrative. Everything is being framed as an imminent threat. And this content has a fear factor that keeps on appearing. And Ed Creeder just said, bring us the intel and spiritual teachings. Many thanks, David. That's what we're doing. Thank you guys for being here. God is boring us in order to switch the narrative. God is funny. And we're at 4,000 viewers now. So thank you guys for showing up for me today. Really, really glad that you're here. So what is it with the fear factor? Why do we keep getting so much fear? The media, I don't believe, would be doing this randomly. So again, I'm going to show you some of the ones we saw last week. I'm going to give you some of the latest ones. This is apparently a real photo of it. So notice it is green. Harvard scientist Avi Loeb warns that this Manhattan-sized interstellar object zipping through our solar system could be an extraterrestrial Trojan horse. That's like when when Greece was invaded, the Trojans invaded by putting soldiers inside a horse. So that's a signal. His presence has major implications for humanity from the New York Post. An extraterrestrial Trojan horse. So there's very specific languaging around things of it being violent, things of it being a threat, and this just keeps on happening. And again, Uncle Jack in 2010 told me that the final stage we were going to see would be this buildup. That was 15 years ago. Smash that like button for Angry Daddy, says DC Knowledge and Entertainment. I don't really know what's going on. I don't really know what this thing is, but yes, the fact that it's so relative to insider revelations that I received back in the day, it's, to me, very, very likely that this is all related to the downfall of the swamp, the exposure of hidden truth, that they're doing this on purpose because they want that. They want to block the truth from coming out any way they can. They don't want information coming out that would compromise them or their operations or whatever they think it's doing. April Newcomb says, Avi seems to think it's funny. He's working the networks and smirking the whole way. So yes, fear will not work. Too many are already awake. That's the thing. I'm just trying to make it clear. They can take some of us out of the game. They took Charlie Kirk out of the game. Hopefully I get to keep fighting, but there's a threat profile around me too. So I definitely have this awareness of my own mortality, that this is risky work to do. It's not easy to get out here week after week and boldly proclaim the truth. And so again, I want to thank you for standing with me. You are my family, and I love you all so much. I'm so grateful that you're here today. So grateful that you're spending time with me, that we get to share this common space together. It's very, very important that we focus on the love that we have for each other. We focus on the peace. Let's not get dragged down into this fear, because fear is false evidence appearing real, right? We know that. And Midnight Mark says, David should go back to his medicine. No, definitely not. I'm a lot happier being the way I am now. Maybe I'm not quite as funny, but, you know, at least I'm doing better and feeling better in many ways. Sorry for trying to make you say ... I just like toilet humor, says CEF Ventures. Okay, well, no need for me to do that. But anyway, such a gorgeous yearbook photo of all these people, he says. Maybe they are ancient earth beings returning. I don't know. I think, again, the fact that I got this briefing in 2010 makes it seem very significant to me that there's like something more going on here than what we see on the surface. And David, tricks are for kids. It's funny. So I like it. I like the fact that we got all these positive things happening at the same time. And again, we don't need to focus on this type of fear that they're trying to create for us. Major implications for humanity, he says. So again, this was some of the big things, 8 statistical anomalies, 4 out of 10 on the Loeb scale for potential technological origin. Its orbit is aligned with the ecliptic. That's a 0.2% probability. Sunward-facing jet, which, you know, it's not impossible according to some other astronomers, but it is very rare. 1 million times bigger than the first extrasolar object, Oumuamua. Fine-tuned planetary flybys by 0.005%. And again, that suggests that, yes, there's something going on here, that it probably is being steered somehow. And whether it's a natural object or whether it's something they built, who knows? Nickel-rich gas plume, iron-poor composition. That's very unusual compared to regular comet. Only 4% water by mass. Extremely negatively polarized. And it arrives within 0.6% of the WOW signal. Multiply those odds, you end up below 1 in 10 quadrillion. And so, you know, some people want to believe this stuff, some people don't. I get that. Vakapala says, what would Colin McGeezer say about drip, drip disclosure, mate? Well, out there in the bush, mate, we've got possums and we've got kangaroos and we got all these wallabies and crocodiles, mate, and you got to be really careful with them because you never know what they're going to do. So if you're out in the bush like me, mate, you're out there in Australia, you got to keep your hat on tight. You got to keep looking for the threat profiles, mate, because there's creatures everywhere. There's huntsman spiders in the gigantic, mate, and they come after you. So you just got to be careful, mate. That's all I can say right now. Woo! Colin McGeezer, yeah. Anyway, David, remember when virtue tarries, evil smiles. Thank you. You guys are laughing. You guys like the characters. Oh, my God. Okay. Thinking outside the box, mate. Yeah, when I heard that warning, I never expected him talking about this UFO coming in, that it would be on all the world's media, that everybody would be talking about it, that here we would be 14 years later, and that it's actually happening. And so, you know, it's an exciting thing. It's an exciting thing that I got such a thorough amount of briefings. We talked about it several times. It wasn't just like once. It was an ongoing discussion that we had. And so, you know, pretty shocking after all this time now that he's able to be proven true, proven correct. Judy Booth says, anything the media says to fear, ignore it. With much love, David. Thank you, Judy, very, very much. Thank you all for being here today. This is great. I love you guys so much, and I really do mean that. So, yes, let's focus on the positive. Let's focus on what we can all do. And it also arrived within 0.6% of the WOW signal. Pretty wild stuff. And again, it may be showing signs of an alien maneuver after it suddenly developed a strange tail. So again, the idea that it's not a natural object, this is being pushed over and over again. This is again from the Alliance source, General News. And here's another one that was from Shadow. So they're also talking about it. They're also putting it into these posts, which are, again, to me, they're very much from the Alliance. The Harvard professor is warning everyone to take their vacations before the 29th, saying the approach of this Manhattan-sized interstellar object could change everything. And let's talk for a minute about the fact that they always say it's the size of Manhattan. Many, many, many different alien invasion movies, for some reason, they love to focus on the idea of the aliens invading Manhattan. And so there are various people on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and things like this who I've seen who are speculating on the very fact that it is Manhattan that is being mentioned. And they say, you know, why is it so often that it has to be Manhattan? Why is it always a Manhattan-sized object? Is that part of the subconscious hypnotic cueing that we are getting? And I absolutely believe the answer could be yes. Manhattan is obviously a city that factors in greatly to the alien invasion narrative. And so it's like it's triggering hypnotic cues that we all have in our minds from having seen all these movies where Manhattan gets invaded, like in, for example, not Day the Earth Stood Still. That I don't think that was Manhattan, but I'm trying to think of what particular movies have Manhattan getting invaded in there, but there's a number of them. In fact, if you can remember some of the movies where Manhattan gets invaded, let me know. And anyway, the Manhattan Project, that's right. So I'm trying to remember what the name is, but anyway, if you're now living in Manhattan, if you're not living in Manhattan, you're not truly living. Joke, Manhattan was invaded from the inside. Independence Day, thank you. That was the name I was trying to come up with. I don't know why I couldn't think of it, but sometimes when you're focused on the narrative, you don't get all the little tiny factoids coming in. Deep Impact, Marvel movies, you're right. Doctor Who's episode with the Daleks is in Manhattan. In Ghostbusters, Manhattan gets invaded. Men in Black, you're right. Yep, Independence Day movies are definitely one of the main ones. So I'm glad I was able to remember that. I knew it had something to do with July 4th, but I forgot the name was Independence Day. So there we go. The correct phrase is predictive programming. Cloverfield, there's another one. Planet of the Apes, there's another one. Muppets Take Manhattan, there's another one. Planet from another universe is sliding closer to ours, and that's when the magic began. They Live, says Scarlet Fire. Interesting, yeah. And we're doing even better on viewers now. We're up to 4,155, so you guys keep on filing in now at the 1 hour mark. Thank you for being here. That is terrific. Really, really happy to see you guys again. So glad to be doing the show today, and we've got excellent streaming. None of that problem with the bandwidth like we were having before. That makes me feel so much happier. And again, he believes that this Manhattan-sized interstellar object could change everything. Loeb still believes that this could be an alien spacecraft and claims that NASA isn't telling the full truth about it, whereas experts insist it is nothing more than an interstellar comet. Well, so again, why is all the buildup going on? It could very well be that this is part of their weapon of mass distraction to get us ready. And again, the fear is so often coming in. He warns us now that if it changes its course towards Earth after swinging past the sun, that it could trigger a global stock market crash, a shockwave felt across our entire civilization. And he describes it as a blind date with a cosmic visitor. We have no idea who or what might be in control of this massive and possibly technological object. So again, it's like drip, drip, drip. Little drops of information keep coming in, and it's frustrating because it's always just this fear, fear, fear stuff. And not too much changes. Maybe NASA's going to have an image of it. Maybe, that's what Uncle Jack actually told me would happen, was that at some point they would release images of the thing, and then there would be this great shock around the world, because when those images come out, there will be no doubt that it's a spaceship. And we haven't gotten to that point yet, but again, all of this apparently has been planned. All of this was told to me back in 2010, and now that it's happening, so I don't know if the NASA photo will be when we get that or not. It might not happen yet. There might be other images that they take as it gets even closer. Remember that Representative Anna Paulina Luna was specifically saying that she wants the Juno space probe to be steered towards it and to photograph it. I don't think they've done that yet. That might be how they would be able to get an even closer close-up. So the NASA image may or may not disappoint. We're not really sure, but apparently they're getting ready to release it soon. And that's good. That's good. So blind date with a cosmic visitor that could trigger a global collapse of our financial system. Shock waves have felt across our entire civilization. That would be mass starvation. That would be chaos. That would be anarchy. And that's the kind of thing that they would love to do before they would ever lose control of the planet. And you know who they are, all right? This was another one I read last week. Very, very silly, right? That the doomsday math, the sun will destroy us in 7.6 billion years, so we need to build a space ark now. Earth gets swallowed by the sun, 7.6 billion years. The moon crashes, nothing survives. Forget Mars. Build rotating space platforms with artificial gravity instead. Oops, so let's do that one again. I don't know. For me, I'd say let's save our money. I think there's probably other things that are going to require us to spend money as a source of danger prior to 7.6 billion years in the future. We're probably going to have other ways of solving this. But again, he's saying humanity needs a cosmic life raft, redirect a fraction of our budget towards a Noah-style ark in space. Well, I don't know. I think I got more time on the clock for that one. I'd rather spend my money on something that's a little more dangerous in the present. But this was another one when he was on Joe Rogan. I mean, literally, Avi Loeb is having this incredible run of publicity. He's just getting so much public attention, and all the top media has got him out there, and he is pushing this narrative, and it's like every little thing. I mean, he feels like me in a lot of ways, you know. Everything is the extraterrestrial interpretation, and I certainly have done that myself, so I'm guilty as charged of the same thing. Done it many times. But, you know, we're up to 4,211 viewers. Stavati's Ark to the rescue, says Vacapalo. Yes, thank you for that. We got some trolls in there, but I'm so happy that we've got moderators now. Thank you guys for being here, and thank you again for your super chat donations. They are utterly essential. So Loeb says NASA's HiRISE camera captured 3I Atlas on October 2nd near Mars, but the image was never released. He requested data from NASA but got no response, and that again implies some type of cover-up. That again stokes up the fear, all that kind of stuff. That is definitely part of what we are seeing here. This ongoing weird fear-mongering is part of the story of 3I Atlas, and it keeps on happening. So an example of why humanity must take interstellar objects seriously. Unexplained propulsion-like movement implies advanced engineering hinting at extraterrestrial origin. Estimating the mass to be 33 billion tons, he questions whether the object could be formed naturally. Here's the fear part again, calling for immediate international coordination to monitor these anomalies. But this is another thing that is part of his narrative that we're going to dig into again today in more detail than we did last time. In his view, planets without atmospheres, particularly Mars and the Moon, could host ancient technological debris from past civilizations preserved perfectly on their surfaces for millions or even billions of years. And again, it's like, wait a minute, this is not new. This is something that I've known about since I started to read Richard C. Hoagland's book, Monuments of Mars, all the way back. I first read it in 1993. And then I got online in 1995, and I found Richard Hoagland on Art Bell. We'll talk about that a little later. The whole Richard Hoagland thing was always about the face on Mars, the pyramids on Mars, that there are weird-looking artifacts there. And now all these years later, since 1993, we're now 22 years after that, almost 23 years after that, coming up in a minute here. Thank you guys for moderating, by the way. All these years later, look at that. Look at exactly what he said. Particularly Mars and the Moon could host ancient technological debris from past civilizations preserved perfectly on their surfaces for millions or even billions of years. Why are they saying this right now? I believe that this is all part of a structured narrative, and I believe that probably what's going to happen is that 3i Atlas will be tied in with these ruins on these planets. They're going to show us the ruins. They're going to expand the narrative. They're going to make it into a big thing. And so that is one of the things that I'm going to do to focus on with our Insider Revelation series, to show you guys what kind of stuff we see in our solar system, how old it is, and where it is and what it is. Because again, I think they're getting ready to tell us a story. And I've been talking about this before. This is something I haven't talked about in 10 years. But when I saw this, it's very provocative. I could not believe that Dr. Avi Loeb is focusing on the moon and Mars. Look at that again. Ancient technological debris. Wilcock Army Unite. Woo, says Ross Feinstein. That's right. Ancient technological debris for millions or even billions of years. And we're going to talk about the millions of years, and we're going to talk about the billions of years as well. So isn't it strange, you guys, that after all this time, after all these years of me talking about this, that now they're trying to like rewrite the story? Yes, podcasters concentrating on Tartaria. I don't know if Tartaria, to me, the whole thing sounds very suspect. Like, again, it's probably an intelligence community product. That's just my opinion. I'm not trying to diss them, but I just wonder what's going on. This is a bunch of BS, somebody says. Well, look, this is a very interesting thing. It is a science fiction story. This is the story of our lives. And Avi Loeb making these statements about it being tied in with the moon and Mars, I mean, that really makes us, very interested. So somebody wants to send me a Christmas card. She donated. Can you share your P.O. box again? Yes, it is P.O. Box 3700, Nederland, Nederland, Colorado 80466. As he is attached to Harvard, that says it all. BS to the max. Well, my grandfather went to Harvard, but anyway, how can you dismiss Tartaria? Oh my God. Well, it's just interesting because there's so much stuff that's coming out that's all around that narrative, and it's hard to believe it, but yeah, I believe that we have a lot of things to discuss here, and I don't know if that's one of them that's really true. It all just kind of popped up a couple of years ago, and I highly question the legitimacy of it. That's all I can say. Now, they might not like me for saying that. They put out a lot of stuff. It just seems like it's all part of an organized effort to me. Crystal Sweeshoe donated. Thank you very much. And Anthony, you are 100% correct, says Tony Koretsch. The moon was once a vehicle. It was towed into our solar system to watch the Earth. I don't believe we ever traveled there, but Anthony, you're on point. We have the same name. Yes, the moon definitely is artificial, and we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about that again today because it's all coming up again. So why is Avi Loeb bringing all this out now? My guess is that somehow they're going to make a narrative that 3i Atlas is directly correlated with these ancient ruins. And again, if I expose this, I may actually ruin it and I may change the plan. They may actually alter the plan based on the fact that I'm talking about it. But I don't want to be a spoil sport here, but I'm interested in tracking what this story is, where is it going, and what is it really giving us? You know, what do we got here? What is all this? Ancient technological debris on the moon and Mars from past civilizations preserved for millions or billions of years. So he's accusing NASA of a cover-up. That's very interesting because, again, you know, it's like in WrestleMania, you got kayfabe where these two sides appear to be fighting, but they're actually working together. So this may not be, in fact, two sides fighting against each other at all. And he's previously speculated that the Manhattan-sized object, there it is again, could be of alien origin. So again, Uncle Jack made it very clear to me that this was the final get-out-of-jail-free card. They were going to play this kind of thing where a spaceship is coming in. He said that they might tie it in with a Dyson sphere type of thing, that there would be a star that seems to have intelligent artifacts around it, that the spaceship would be coming from that star system, that they would trace it back there, that it could come into the Earth, and that it could actually begin blowing us up on the surface of the Earth, creating an alien invasion, creating violence, creating mass catastrophes, and then forcing us all to unify under the banner of, yes, some type of order that is new. Cindy J, great show today, David. Thanks for keeping it positive with your humor. Anything that promotes fear is not the truth. Keep up the good work. I love it. Thank you, Cindy J, and thank you for the donation. As you can see right there, she put in $50. That is fantastic. And we really love you and appreciate you all. So yes, I decided that I don't want to be quite so chatty today. I mean, I do get more super chat donations, but we're doing fine. So everything is good. And again, your donations really help me out. So donating while I keep my flow going is the best way to go. Avi seems genuine and curious. You're telling the truth, David. They know it. It could be a Pearl Harbor all over again, says Linda Kiesling. You're absolutely right. So, yes, I do believe that we're going to get this story developing and blossoming and turning into something a lot more than what we thought it was going to be. I don't think we're anywhere near the end of this story. We're just getting started. And look at all the cats depicted in the past as Chris G. Ancient civilizations. That's right. Tell everyone about the sort of... Oh my God, I'm not going to read that. Anyway, good afternoon, David and everyone. There are ancient Egyptian and Asian artifacts hidden in the Grand Canyon. Anything is possible, says David Smith. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some things that, are weird here. Is there any new information, says Kitsy Witty. Well, look, we're talking about it. This is a developing story. This is a narrative. And NASA is covering up the story. So anyway, we'll get to some of the new slides. Thank you for keeping me on point. Look at this. Harvard astrophysicist. So Avi Loeb warns alien technology could be hiding in plain sight. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb dropped a bombshell on Joe Rogan. We're scanning Mars for anomalies, right-angled structures, geometric patterns, but we're not ready for what we might find. The real threat? Intelligent alien objects following unpredictable paths that we can't anticipate. So there again is that Mars angle. We're scanning Mars for anomalies. We're scanning Mars for right-angled structures, geometric patterns, but we are not prepared for what we are going to find. We are scanning... Wait a minute, we're not... The face on Mars was discovered in NASA frame 35A73 and 70A16, those two frames from the Mars Voyager mission, I believe it was. Or maybe it wasn't Voyager, but there was a Mars satellite back then. And so 35A13, 70A16 were the two frames I believe they were. And so again, we're not scanning it now. This is old news. And it's like, wait a minute, why are they rehashing this old news? So if you guys feel like it's rehash, I get it. I'm sorry. But this is now a new story because I never expected that somebody was going to come out with this kind of a narrative and tie in all this stuff that goes back to the dawn of the UFO age when I was listening to it, 1993, 1995, 1996, when I was first getting myself established, when I first got out there on the internet, when I first started to do all this work. I mean, I admit to you, I have some burnout. I've been doing this for a really long time. It's easy to burn out after all these years of working on this stuff. But now all these things that I used to talk about so vigorously are coming back into view once again. And it's very, very interesting. I don't trust this Avi character. I can't read the rest. The deep knows that the final countdown has started. Didn't 47 tell the Smithsonian Museum to stop hiding artifacts? I believe he did. And 33, you're right. The 33 billion tons, the 33 miles long, 93 was 33 years ago. That's interesting. Yeah. Tennessee loves David Wilcock, says Tammy Dayton. Thank you very much. Rehash, Prince Royal says, I love hash. Wake up, people. There's a U.S. base on Mars, and people are jumping through stargates to get there. That is absolutely true. So, look, this is, and we got 4,300 people watching. That's a great turnout for us. We're at an hour and a half in. It is time for disclosure. You're absolutely right. Why are they talking about right-angle structures and geometric patterns on Mars right now? This is not new. If you guys watch my show, you know we've been talking about this. And again, notice he keeps saying it's a threat. The real threat is intelligent alien objects following unpredictable paths that we can't anticipate. Over and over again, the narrative is driven. This is a threat. This is dangerous. This is evil. This is, and it's all part of the fact that there is an alliance, that I do believe that 47 is doing good stuff. I'm very excited about it. I want to see it come to fruition. He has my support. And, you know, I want to be positive. I mean, if you're just going to get negative, that's the downside, right? If you just get negative, if you say, look at what happens, he made these gaffes, he said these things in public, and now I don't like it, and I just want him out of there. Let's go after the 25th Amendment, get him impeached. I mean, I saw a lot of those comments, and it's like, well, do we really know what we're seeing here? Can we be absolutely sure that this was just an angry, vindictive remark, or is there something deeper going on? What about that hurricane that just came right in near Cuba? What about all these strange correspondences that there's this documentary coming out? The disclosure is happening. It's an official disclosure in the form of a movie. Ties back into the same Tom DeLonge people that we saw years ago. We'll talk about that a little more as time goes on. Yes, I would love to do new documentaries as well. Thank you guys, everybody. The books are awesome. Yes, I've written some great books. What does Dr. Greer say about 3 Atlas? I think he's aware that it could be some type of a distraction as well. And, you know, he's also been talking about the boogosphere. That's another interesting thing going on right now that, again, could be part of the programmed disclosure narrative. Linda Kiesling said, my father gave me a NASA poster on the backside of the moon. There are structures out there. I totally agree. Vicky Crew Fuller, maybe the ETs want fireworks, ham, cigarettes, and bacon. Woo-hoo! You don't never know what's going to happen when you got them extraterrestrials out there, man. They might all come on in here and say, we just want your cigarettes, ham, fireworks, and bacon. Woo, Lord Jesus, help us all. They got to come on in with their little ships, and they're going to try to make a big mess of things around here. But we know better than that, you and me. We going through this together. We going to find out where those little suckers came from, how the hell they got in our solar system. Because, man, I don't like what I'm seeing, boy. They going to come in here. They going to try to scare you, scare me, scare my family. I got my kids out there. I got my rooster. I got my crows. The crows are always out there trying to mess around with my animals. I don't like none of this stuff, boy. I got to try to get my family straight. I'm trying to put food on the table for my family. They come around trying to tell me that you're going to get them from outer space. You're going to come from some sort of 3 Atlas spaceship. You think you're going to blow up my chicken barn? You're going to blow up my pig pen? You're going to try to hurt my animals? Well, darn it all, I have had it, just like Angry Daddy would say. I don't like it. Well, you think you can come on down here to the south? You come on down here where I live? You're going to walk into my farm? You're going to try to screw with my animals? Well, hell no, boy. I ain't going to take none of that stuff. You tell those suckers they can go right on back where the hell they came from in outer space, because I am here in Cowtown. Anybody want me to say something? You guys can tell me what to say, and I'll say it. I'll talk to it right there. Yes, that's right. I done lost my mind. I'm talking through my teeth. Shout out to attractive, long-haired real bronze on Honeyboos, the Ashtar Command, Galactic Federation Space Force, Angry Daddy Bacon Edition. Woo! This may be your best character. Stop eating the cigarette. You darn right. Let me get another one. Put it right in here. Let's see what else you guys got me to say. I can't stand it when they come on in here. They gonna think they can brush up my horse. I got plenty of horses out there in the stall. They think they're gonna take my horse and give you guys some type of illicit information. They think they can get all proby on my animals. I don't want you guys messing around my animals. I don't want you guys messing around with me. You guys go back to where the hell you came from out there in space, because I have had it, man. I can't stand it. These ETs think they can come in here with their green skin and their buggy little eyes, and they think they're going to walk on into my life. They're going to walk on into my farm. They're going to tell me how I can live my life. You think you can tell me how I'm going to live my life? You think I can just be pushed around like some type of prop and some type of Hollywood performance? I know what y'all are doing in Hollywood. I know what y'all are saying to me. I know the messaging. I know the subliminals. I got all the stuff, man. I've been watching all these videos, and I got myself all learned up on this real good, man. They learned me up real good about what the hell's going on out there in showbiz. And I'll tell you what, boy, it ain't all what it seems. One of these days you're going to learn that they trying to tell you things, and they're trying to give you information that's not exactly real, man. They're trying to load your mind up with all this fake stuff, and I don't like the fake stuff, man. I want the truth. I want it to be real. I want squirrels, I want possums, I want raccoons, I want to have all those animals under my control. If they go running around on my land doing circles and circles, man, that ain't no good at all. And I don't like that stuff, man. You guys got to keep your eyes on deck. You guys got to keep on looking out there at the sky. Make sure these aliens don't go coming on in trying to break up our party, because, man, I ain't having it. There ain't nobody going to take my bacon. I got my cigarettes right here. They can have them. That's right. They can't have my bird dogs. Woo-wee! I'll take you to school, boy. I'm going to learn you some. More props. Keep them coming. They learn me up real good. That's right. They learn me up real good, boy. I do miss my squirrels. Just don't take my tacos away. See, now I'm reading what you all are saying. You're feeding me the lines. David's really leaning into this one. They learn me up real good. They're going to take away my jobs. David, you need to go on tour doing stand-up, somebody says. I've been probed a few too many times. Them aliens be messing with my crops and animals. That's right. Hang tight, cousins, hang tight. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Woo-wee, energizing my faith. That's right. Oh, my God. Woo. Had to keep that one going. Let's just let it burn for a while. Let the routine burn, man. Sometimes you got to do that. You got to, the best way, and cut. That's right. You guys were laughing and laughing and laughing. The way that you make those funny is you just keep it going. You don't break the character. Lana Ashford says, that was your best character ever. Just spot on. Truth Cowboy. That's right. We'll call him Truth Cowboy. He was in the house. David, you should be on Yellowstone. That was amazing. Thanks. Felinity, the Cowboy act is the best. Who knew? There's so many laughter icons coming in. Love you, David. Uncle Jack is rolling over. You look younger, very handsome. Don't eat my grits. They can pay our tax. Yeah, so he's the Truth Cowboy. Could somebody moderate this? Joking, of course. The possum stew ain't ready yet. That was great. LOL. Oh, my goodness. That's proper English, actually. We learn you up good. Please show us your squirrel clips. You surprised us with that one, says intuitively inspired media. Now put on your yarmulke. I don't really have a Jewish character per se, but anybody want to go wild pig hunting tonight? That's right. Don't shoot at the sky. They all want to take my corn on the cob. Truth Cowboy, we love him. I needed that laugh. Thank you, David. Anyway, that was a lot of fun. Glad to do it. Look at all the amount of laughter icons that are coming in is unprecedented. That really definitely did something here. So glad that you guys were able to enjoy that. We co-created that character together. You guys were feeding me some of his lines of dialogue. As long as they don't take my herb. Okay, keep your characters coming. We need them today. That was deserving of an F and Oscar, LMAOO. I loved it so much. You are amazing, David. I love it, man, says Tony Koretch. All right. So yeah, we got to break it up sometimes and create some paradoxical intervention, create some unusual stuff. Gigi Young put out a video of disagreements of Avi Loeb's analysis. So yes, this was your best one yet, says Calvin Knott. Bubba Wilcock. Let's do the chicken dance with a handsome blue-eyed cowboy, full-on fun. Yeah, it all snaps in, right? I've got the right sideburns for the look and everything that we need to really sell the part. So again, we're scanning Mars for anomalies, right-angled structures, geometric patterns, but we're not ready for the threat that we might find of intelligent alien objects. You guys are thanking me for the laughs. Following unpredictable paths we can't anticipate. Alien technology won't follow a path you expect if it has intelligence. That's a risk we've never attended to. Earth gets hit by meteor-sized asteroids constantly. Congress tasks NASA to spot rocks the size of football fields. But interstellar objects like Oumuamua and 3I Atlas, a different game. He wrote a white paper to the UN and the International Astronomical Union. Develop a monitoring strategy now before we get blindsided. You guys are so blown away by that comedy character that you can't really come back to the show. You're still... Annette Chastain says, I love you even more now. I'm laughing with tears. Oh my God, it was too gummy. Uncle Wilcock, you say. Don't eat my cornbread. Space Cowboy Cadet. Toby Keith, if you ask me. Avi Lober, I barely knew her. Soo-wee! Uncle Wilcock, haha, that's David's new nickname. That's it, says Tony Koretch. Very, very funny stuff. Best medicine, laughter ever. They want our rare minerals. It's an American dad. Okay, so yeah, that was really fun, wasn't it? Anyway, all this threat stuff, I don't think it's really going anywhere, but we got to be aware that this might happen. I hope I can be here with you guys as all this continues. Let's hope that nobody gets to me, but the threat is real for what I do. Manhattan-sized, again, the same thing. Interstellar object loses its tail after passing the sun, 3I Atlas, defying conventional explanations from the New York Post. So again, Manhattan, invasion, Independence Day. And then here he is again speaking. This is from the Alliance. Government intelligence officials. We read this last week, but it's really important to hear it again. David, I'm all learned up, says Cameron Clapp. Brokeback Wilcock says Luminous Sapien. Come on, let's be nice, be nice. We had 2 more donations, Diane Ross, and we also have Paula Mignon. Will you ask Michael about 3I Atlas, why and what its purpose is? Yes, I'm not really 100% clear that my telepathic information is going to work right now because I do have ongoing insomnia, so I wouldn't really just try to channel something in and then claim that it was accurate right now. I don't think that's necessarily going to work. But anyway, they did talk about it in the time loop, and the time loop is very interesting. We went through that for the better part of a year here, from September to September. And what about all the people down there in Cuba? Well, it's probably going to be a lot more. Yes, we love your jokes a lot, David, says Julia. Even my cat was laughing, says Scarlet Fire. I don't vote, but I will vote for you, David. Okay, well, thank you for that. We're not trying to threaten anything about 47 at all. And I do deeply apologize to him or to the Alliance if anybody ever thought that I was trying to egg in on anything or trying to overstep my boundaries. I really just want them to succeed, and I want to see humanity be liberated from suffering. If you don't really know what's wrong, how can you solve the problem? And I believe that's what they're doing. So I'm very keen on seeing them succeed, get this mission accomplished. David has the best laughter. It's even healing for us to hear you respond to us. Thank you very much. Great job, Cowboy David. You just keep the dialogue flowing at a high speed. People start laughing. Then you say, learn you up good, and a few things like that. Throw those in. And it's all great stuff, man. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. Let's go back to the slide. So they're preparing to go public with alien technology that can make interstellar travel and even teleportation a reality. Interesting. Calling it the biggest discovery in human history. It could unlock limitless potential for our benefit of humanity. Upcoming documentary, Age of Disclosure, also set to unveil evidence of otherworldly beings. So yes, this is all part of that disclosure narrative, part of what they're doing. And here's another. Now, there's certain accounts on Twitter or X that just keep on pumping out stuff so much. I really wonder, is this a real person? Or is this just, again, something coming from a paid person within the intelligence community? I don't really know. But there's certain ones that are just very, very popular, and they're always spewing out all this interesting stuff all the time. And there's always new posts from them, like multiple posts a day. And they go all over the place. And I just wonder if there are teams behind this. And this is definitely one of them that I speculate about. They're interviewing Jake Barber here, and it says, correct, there is no asteroid heading towards Earth that will cause a mass extinction. He's also right, the thread connecting all religions is hidden, but what he doesn't tell you, see, here it is, this is the fear again. How does this person know this? A mass extinction event is upon our doorstep, brought on by the geomagnetic excursion that also triggers evolution, i.e. ascension, and is connected to the UAP phenomenon. So it's like they're trying to manicure our thoughts. It's like they're trying to give us this fear, keep us focused on the negative, keep us focused on things that hurt, and keep us scared. And, I just wonder, where is this coming from? Why do we keep hearing this over and over again? It's called psychic driving, when they keep hitting you with the same stuff over and over again. That's what we're seeing here. So I just ask you to open your mind and be aware of what this might all be really about. So here's another one. This guy, he might be the real thing. I'm not sure, but astronomers detected 3I Atlas showing over 7 jets directed both toward and away from the sun. The object deviated from its expected path, suggesting a controlled maneuver with thrust equal to ejecting 5 billion tons of material. After passing the sun on October 29th, it brightened 5-fold and turned bluer, which was an unexpected shift. So again, it's like every little thing that it does, it did apparently shoot out these jets. It's very strange. But again, it's almost like a NASA rocket, right? I don't think that an anti-gravity craft, I don't think that some type of advanced technology is necessarily going to need to shoot out jets. It's more like an old-fashioned rocket thing that rockets might shoot out jets to steer, but you know, most of these type of craft are probably not going to need to do that. Everyone has been deceived, says somebody there. Anyway, yeah, so it's very interesting to look at what's really going on here. The 7 jets steering toward and away from the sun. Every little thing it does becomes part of the narrative. And maybe it was built this way, maybe it was designed this way, maybe this is all being very carefully directed. Again, that's what Uncle Jack told me back in 2010. So I'm inclined to think that this is some type of, you know, scare thing to get us ready for whatever they're trying to discharge. Discharge their own, you know, pending investigations. In a Newsmax interview, Dr. Avi Loeb stated that the interstellar object 3I Atlas, currently the focus of congressional investigation, altered its trajectory, that's those 7 jets, after reaching perihelion. It clearly maneuvered, he said. The increase in its speed was comparable to the thrust from a jet expelling 5 billion tons of material. So the speculation just goes on and on. It just keeps on happening. It's very, very weird, isn't it? Vesa AG says it's just an old ship that wants to be seen and speculated, part of our waking up process. It's a drone powered by antimatter used to hit planet like Earth, Astro Drone. I'm just bored of the bull crap. The truth resonates within the self. One can easily distinguish lies and fakes, and you can feel the distortion. David, I'm not trying to embarrass you, but you have something on your face. Oh, I do. Look at that. What is that? That's probably, no, well, we got it. Okay, whatever it was, we got it. Is it maybe I'm bleeding? That could be a little scab or something. Okay, thank you. We got it. Lack of empathy is the very definition of a psychopath. Be love. Electric Universe explains all of 3I Atlas's anomalies. That's interesting. I hadn't really thought about that, but you might be right. Trudy Handelman, $20 donation, and it says goal. Thank you. Yes, that's great. Comments are working okay on this side. That's from a long time ago. We're still at 4,100 viewers at an hour and 41 minutes in. Thank you guys for being here today. This is awesome. And maybe that little fleck came off of the hat. That could be something that was on the hat. I don't know. But anyway, we got it. And thank you for telling me there was something on my face. I'm glad I was able to fix that for you guys. You're so cute. We all love you. Love is stronger than anything. Yep, we got the something on my face. That's already been handled. Everybody gets nicks from shaving. That's what I thought it was. It probably was. Looks like that's what it was. All right. So again, you know, he's talking about how all this stuff is unfolding, and he's talking about rectilinear geometry on the moon and Mars, that the object is maneuvering, that there's a threat involved. This was another one that came out this week that really, really shocked me to the core. This is Robert F. Kennedy III, author of The Confessions of Anthony, as you can see there at the bottom. And so again, his father is currently holding a very significant office, and in the current administration, look at what happens. He says that his wife has blank clearance and is, working to reform the intelligence agencies. She can't even tell me what she's working on. He actually says this out loud. You can watch the video. She has that clearance, and then it's like why blank was called blank. Holy crap. He actually said this out loud on a news show, you guys. That is something that they probably didn't want him to say that, okay? But he did anyway. So he says we're now in an era where we've got AI that could potentially make it easier to see where the money is moving and thus expose what's going on. So his own wife has that clearance and is working to reform intelligence agencies. I mean, that was one of the really shocking news items that came up this week that just kind of maybe, I don't know, it really, really shocked me, and it brought me into a whole new level of like, wow, what is going on here? What does this really mean? The truth will meet up with us soon enough, says Super Salty. I agree completely. So, hello, David, says Merlina Yazzie. I've been watching you since 2019. You tell the truth. I'm pleased to be connected to you. Neutrino Wave says, like you said, keep an open mind. ETs can heal and protect. That's why they're connected to light. So yeah, I think there's something definitely going on here. They've made these signals. They've given us this information. It's not a joke. This is part of the story. And I think it's a good thing. You know, if you can't see anything positive about this administration, you have to do, you know, more research and, you know, find out what really is going on. Paula Mignon just donated. David, please answer my question. Will you ask Michael about 3i Atlas, who and what its purpose is? I would love to know. Can you please ask? Well, as I said, and I already answered the question, I don't trust my own research right now. I don't trust my own data per se because of what I've been going through with my own insomnia. I don't think that I would necessarily get good data right now. So I just don't want to do that at the moment. But there you go, Paula, you got his attention, somebody said. I'm very inclined to go with, like I said, what was in the time loop from 1999, where it all ties back in with what we saw from that time back in history. And, you know, it's a very interesting thing that they said that we have contingencies in place with women to stop any type of attack from occurring. So the best Michael prophecies that we had from when we last were doing those is that it does appear that this is on some type of an attack trajectory, but that we're going to be fine anyway. It's all going to be okay. Margaret Hall, I love you, David. Thanks for always being a beacon of light. Stay strong, everyone. Keep fighting the good fight. Keep your spirits forever light. Anna Nishida, I can't believe I'm having curry for breakfast. I've been up since 4 a.m. All right. So, yeah, I think that I think Uncle Jack is right. I think that there was a reason why I got that briefing back in 2010. And I'm not inclined, I mean, look, the very way of how the media handles this, right? The way the media is handling this and all the insider revelations I've had over the years makes me very convinced that this is not what we think it is, that this is definitely some type of piloted craft and that it's actually probably us that are doing it and that it's coming in on purpose because they're out of time, they're going to have a defeat, they're going to have a distraction, they know that, and they're trying to push this narrative. So if you can't stand anything about this administration, I get it, my family is like that, but why not at least keep an open mind, the possibility that they might be doing something really good? And if that's true, then embrace it. You know, embrace it and be willing to see, hey, you know what, maybe it's not just something you need to totally tune out of and something that's all negative. Maybe there's something actually good happening here, something we can learn from, something we can potentially all have as a benefit rather than as something dangerous. So again, this was very curious. Here's Kennedy III saying that his wife has this clearance and then mentions this particular anonymous source. I could not believe that this happened. Now, he probably got in trouble for saying this because, again, although he's not an operator, they say operators should never divulge. So this was pretty heavy, man. It was pretty heavy. But again, back to the 3i Atlas stuff. Here's another one that just came out this past week. Something big is being hidden. 3i Atlas. Congresswoman Luna breaks her silence. And what we're seeing here is Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna spoken out about the mystery of 3i Atlas, showing her full support for Harvard scientist Avi Loeb's investigation, now teaming up with him to uncover what the government might be hiding about non-human life forms and why access to key footage is being blocked from the public. She says this fight for UFO and ET disclosure is a bipartisan battle, but warns that powerful forces inside the intelligence community and the Department of Defense are pushing back hard to keep the truth hidden. Meanwhile, sources claim that NASA's own MRO, Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, captured rare images of 3i Atlas on October 2nd and 3rd, but those pictures still haven't been released, adding even more mystery to the case. Could this be the moment the truth finally breaks through? So again, Paula Mignon, thank you. I did answer the question. Michael, I believe, already spoke through the time loop, but thank you for asking. So here's the big thing right here. Powerful forces inside the intelligence community and the Department of Defense are pushing back hard to keep the truth hidden. That, again, feeds into the fear narrative that we keep hearing, and I believe that's what they're trying to do. I believe that is actually the focus of where all this is going, that the fear is definitely part of the thing that they're really pushing the most. And so here's another one. This was from Black Hole. 3i Atlas returned to view after disappearing behind the sun. It is now reported to be even brighter and moving faster than before. See, it's the same narrative over and over again. Every little thing that happens is pushing it forward. During 3I Atlas's perihelion passage, powerful flares were detected on the far side of the sun, some of them rated X-class, including one rated as X10. Astronomers noted the active zone with sunspots 4246 ejected plasma with colossal energy for nearly 10 days. However, as soon as 3I Atlas passed the closest approach to the sun, the activity indicators suddenly dropped to 0. Now again, this sounds great, but you got to remember the sun is 99.86% of all the mass in the solar system. All of the planets combined only add up to 0.14% of the solar system's mass. So the likelihood that 3I Atlas could cause the sun to release something, to me, I would say, given it's like trying to move your parked car with a refrigerator magnet, I think it's very small. For the first time, when the Atlas passes the sun, the activity dropped to 0. No flares were detected on the Earth-facing side. Official observatories have not yet linked these events, but the rare timing seems unusual. An energy surge during the flyby, followed by an almost instantaneous fading immediately afterward. Again, its mass is so small, I doubt this is really a thing, but everything that happens, they try to steer into this narrative. It's like every little thing that goes on, they want to make it part of the 3I Atlas story. Calculations place the probability of 3I Atlas being a normal comet at almost 0. It's easier to win the lottery, the researchers note, 15 times in a row than to explain its behavior by the laws of nature. The probability of moving strictly in the plane in the ecliptic is 1 in 500. The probability of passing close to the orbits of Venus, Mars, and Jupiter is 1 in 1,000. The discrepancies in the evaporation rates are 1 in 200. The difference between the brightness and volume of dust is estimated at 1 in 300. Unusual gas composition activity far from the sun is 1 in 200, 1 in 100 respectively. I don't know where he's getting these numbers from. But the combination of all these factors makes the probability of randomness practically 0. According to the authors of the analysis, 3I Atlas behaves too stable and orderly to be a natural body. So again, the real focus here is it's easier to win the lottery 15 times in a row than to explain its behavior by the laws of nature. That's the story. That's what they're selling us now. We had a donation come in. Mohammed Shingidi donated $39.99. What's crazy about 3I Atlas, Netflix just dropped 3 Body Problem last year, and now they're going to release the second season. I think the second season will happen in reality as opposed to season 2, LOL. I don't know what 3 Body Problem is, but yeah, okay, interesting. And don't forget about Close Encounters of the Third Kind, says Anonymous A. Atlas is absorbing energy just like it did in Stargate Universe. That's right. So it's wonderful that you're getting the attention you worked so hard for, David, says Mosquito. Thank you very much for that. Anyway, very, very interesting how this is being built up so much. Just everything that we see keeps on coming in. What the hell is Comet 3I Atlas doing now? A brand new image of the interstellar object just dropped. It's weird enough to make astronomers squint, rewind, and double-check their coffee. Shot on November the 11th, it's blasting a giant jet directly toward the sun, not exactly textbook behavior. Paula Mignon, again, I did answer the question. I don't know why you keep asking, but I have talked about this, so thank you for the donation. But I did mention this, so I'm sorry if you didn't hear it. Shot on November 11th, the comet-like object is blasting a giant jet directly towards the sun. No filters, no edits, no cosmic Photoshop, just a raw, rare look at the visitor from deep space doing something that shouldn't make sense. Whatever it's up to, it's not boring. So again, it's blasting a giant jet directly towards the sun. This is not exactly textbook behavior. And you can actually see that in this photograph. Now, you zoom in up really close on that, it does kind of look like an egg. It's an interesting thing that there's a funny, glow of light on the front side and a much bigger one on the back side. And it almost looks like it's got a headlight. So this is a very curious image, isn't it? Very, very curious image. And in fact, maybe what I can do here is we'll zoom in really closely on that image, get you guys a close-up on that, just so we can really see more of the form of the thing as we get up really close, because, again, it clearly has an intriguing shape to it, and I'm curious about what the heck we're really seeing here, and did they build this? Is this part of the whole Werner von Braun, Uncle Jack plan that was talked about? So here we go. Let's bring that back up. Now that we're going to get in really close on it, you'll get to see a little bit more of what's there. Yeah, so it looks like it's got a big hole in it on the side. It does kind of look like it could be a craft. I mean, this might be something that they built to try to scare the crap out of us and try to save their own bacon as we're moving now into the final stages before we get some type of full disclosure event. It's pretty wild. It wouldn't be full disclosure, it'd be a partial disclosure. Stacy Trundley is saying, hi everyone, sending thanks for you, David, to host this beautiful platform for free thinkers, lovers of truth, learning, and spiritual growth. Thank you very much. 3i Atlas is investigating and adjusting frequencies for the positive. I mean, look at that. It does look pretty strange, doesn't it? It's not exactly as elongated as they seem to be saying, but it definitely seems to have an indentation on it. Definitely seems to be kind of roundish. It's got like a headlight coming off the front. It's very, very cool. And then Enlightened Executive says, Steven Spielberg's movie Disclosure coming out in May 2026. Is this also part of the plan? It could very well be. Keep teaching, David. We have to do our own research anyway. Are you a chimney sweeper? Oh my God, Frank Barter. Yeah, okay, we're not going to read that joke out loud. He's trying to make, classic lowbrow humor. So, Skywatch Signal, this is another one that just posts constantly. I wonder who's behind this, or where is all this stuff really coming from? But anyway, I don't want to diss him. He's just very, very consistent. 3i Atlas didn't break up. What are we actually looking at? It just walked through perihelion in one piece. Its behavior is way outside anything you'd expect from a normal comet. Firing a jet into the sun, holding a clean sunward anti-tail, shedding mass without any recoil, and staying structurally intact when it should have cracked apart. Nothing about this matches standard comet physics, not the geometry, stability, or light curve, and not the acceleration. Well, again, this is the narrative they're selling. I don't know if it's really true. Some other scientists are saying it does behave like a comet. We're left with two options here. Either this is a natural interstellar object with physics and internal structure we've never seen before, or we are watching a piece of engineered hardware move through our system and act exactly how it was built to act. Yeah. I mean, that's the narrative that we're getting. And again, this is where it all comes in, the engineered hardware acting exactly how it was built to act. That's one of the things that a lot of these people keep saying. Either way, the old explanations don't hold. 3i Atlas is writing its own rule book now. Will Dr. Avi Loeb be increasing the Loeb scale from 4 to 5? That remains to be seen. Knowledge, according to Einstein, is realizing the street is one way, but wisdom is looking in both directions anyway. Albert Einstein. Okay. So here it is again up close. Another new image of 3i Atlas from the Nordic Optical Telescope, further challenging the natural object hypothesis. It seems to be shooting a jet towards the sun. Now that could just be a reflection off of the ice from the sun. That might be all that we're seeing there, but yeah, it's pretty weird, isn't it? What do you think it is, David? I think it probably is being steered. I think it probably is part of this. There's something that they're doing with this thing. It's not natural. That is my belief. So they've also put these out, and these are some images that have been circulating now, giving you ideas about what this thing might really look like. And then here's another image of it from far away, and then here's another one that showed up. 3i Atlas is estimated to be about 3.5 miles in diameter. I guess I was wrong about 33 miles, but it's 33 billion tons. A large interstellar object, its mass exceeding 33 billion tons, making it much more massive than previous interstellar objects like Oumuamua. So again, isn't it funny, knowing how they use symbols, knowing how these people like to use things, that the 33 number keeps coming up, 33 billion tons, not just a random number at all, but a number of immense symbolic importance, because remember, they have to tell you what they're doing. They have to use clues, they have to use symbolism, they have to use standard systems of how they like to communicate in order to get this going. Somebody said it looks like a big doobie. But again, this is all part of the signaling to try to get everybody visualizing that this is some sort of extraterrestrial object. We're still holding true at 4,070 concurrent viewers. We're doing great here. Thank you guys for being here. Really, really appreciate the support. And thank you again to the moderators. You guys have made it great to be here. I really don't have to, do anything else with with moderating. It all kind of happens on its own now, and that's really great. So thank you guys very much. Midnight Mark, thank you for that moderation. Do you think our benevolent neighbors will show up if there's an FF invasion? Absolutely. Charlie Winter just donated and asked that question. And I would say absolutely yes, I believe they would. So the nerve of some people, this is David's show, not yours. Imagine being mad at a streamer who interacts with his chat. Well, I'm trying to do the best I can. Not everybody can get it, but that's okay. You know, we can't make everybody happy all the time. We just make people happy as much as we can. Not everybody's going to be happy. The largest suppository ever. AI Atlas is one of the first interstellar spacecraft, a nuclear-powered submarine with space barnacles, says Sammy Brown. Who knows? But anyway, this is interesting. Again, the number 33 being flagged over and over again. 3.5 miles in diameter, much more massive than the last two interstellar objects of Oumuamua and Borisov. So then here's Pavel Larionov. So you are telling me that 3i Atlas was on the opposite side of the sun while we could not see it, and now when we see it again, the sun is also rotated towards us? There's now a huge hole in the sun. It is strange, isn't it? I mean, that is an interesting coincidence, but again, the mass of 3i Atlas is so small. Okay, it makes me sad. Paula Mignon is still asking the question. She just donated. I would respect the courtesy of an answer. I would love to know what Michael would say about 3i Atlas. I believe Michael did speak through the time loop. Michael was speaking in 1999 to us in the present. That is the best resource that we have. And in the previous readings, they actually did say what it was. So maybe, in fact, we can try to pull that up again if you want me to. Let's see if I can find the last Michael prophecy. Let's just see where we are right now. Maybe I can bring that in because she is asking over and over again. She is donating. So let's just put in with women and see if I can find it that way. Okay. Yes. So here we go. We will bring that in. Let me just see what else we got here. Right. Okay, so I'm going to bring this in. Let's see. All right, I'm going to grab that. Sorry, everybody, but we're therefore just going to take a nice audience request here, and I'll bring this in for you guys so we can all enjoy this. And we'll answer the question directly. Okay, so let me find out where we were. Comet became more conventional. Shadow government Mount Pony. Okay. Dr. Renee Piach. Okay. So, no, I'm not put it there. I'm going to put it here. Okay, sorry about the delay, everybody, but we will honor her request because she's been so patiently asking and donating. So anyway, sorry about that. Sorry about the delay. If nothing else, let David stretch your imagination. He's more patient than I would be. David on Joe Rogan. Moderators don't like conflicting comments and information. Take your time, David. Pause the teaching for a student who is behind. It's okay, it happens, huh, class? David, you are extremely courteous and a gentleman. It shows how much you care to take the time to answer. You are a class act. God bless you, David. I could never live stream without swearing, says Space Cadet Lottie. Okay, well, So let's go back to the slide, and then I'll bring in her request. This is what I believe is what Michael had to say about it before. So we did get a statement. So the huge hole in the sun. This is very, very interesting. And, you know, again, it could just be a coincidence because the mass of the object is so small, but it's an interesting coincidence nonetheless. Nagakura Seiji, cave paintings from 10,000 years ago, resembling the interstellar visitor Three-Eye Atlas. Ancient people appear to be worshiping Three-Eye Atlas like a god with their hands raised. These objects seem to visit Earth periodically and influence humankind. How about that, huh? That is interesting. I mean, I don't know what it means, and it's probably, again, just more speculation, but the hype that's being built up on this is so big. It just keeps on coming at us in so many ways, and I find it to be very interesting. So we just keep on looking at it and looking at the scope of what we got and all the different things that are coming out. New York Post, NASA is going to release its best quality images of, again, Manhattan-sized interstellar object, Three-Eye Atlas, and reveals true nature. There again is the cueing on the word Manhattan. And if you guys notice here, tell me in the comments, what does this look like to you? What does this picture look like to you? Just, you know, take a look at the whole thing. It looks like an eye, doesn't it? Somebody said a space amoeba, but no, I'm saying it looks like an eye. And again, that is one of their symbols. So not only are we getting the 33 number showing up, we're getting the Manhattan symbol showing up, but yes, you guys are right. It looks like an eye. You can see that very clearly. It's got the pupil, it's got the iris, it's got the surrounding eye. And so why is that? Well, again, maybe it doesn't mean anything, but maybe it's part of all the symbolism that they're trying to put out there. The Eye of Sauron, somebody said. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty curious the way that these symbols keep coming out. And what are they really doing? And what is the real agenda here? What is the objective? I believe the alliance is real, and I believe this is the effort to try to forestall what they might do. So there you have it. So then here's Three-Eye Atlas Whistleblower, a whole page just dedicated to that. It's not a comet, it's a spacecraft. It just passed the sun and turned on 7 perfectly balanced jets, 4 toward the sun, 3 away, like rocket engines in formation. This is the clearest proof yet. I don't know. Everything that it does, they make it seem like it's a spaceship. That just seems to be the way they like to work it. And here's another psychic driving fear message from EZ here. Breaking. If it's technological, yes, we are screwed. Well, how do you know that? I mean, why in the world would we automatically assume that if something is artificial, that if something is built by some type of intelligence, why would we automatically assume that it's evil and that we're screwed? You know, I mean, let's try to be open-minded a little bit here. Let's not just immediately jump to the conclusion that this is going to be something bad for us. I don't know why we would have to do that. But again, it does appear that there is a message being portrayed. There's this ongoing effort to try to make this scary, make this something that hurts us, make this something that's not good for humanity. And, you know, I do know why. I mean, you could say I don't know why, but I actually do. Because this is all part, I believe, of an intelligently scripted program with the documentary coming out, with everything going on. And, you know, anyway, we want to get to more stuff. I don't want to keep dwelling on this, but here we go. The Harvard astrophysicist just confirmed what many feared. Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna reportedly met with NASA today, demanding they release high-rise Mars orbiter images of Three-Eye Atlas, the interstellar object defying physics. Loeb says NASA has the high-res data, but it's been buried under bureaucratic delay since the shutdown. When asked if we are in danger, he did not hesitate. Three-Eye Atlas moves 3 times faster than our fastest rocket. Well, maybe it's just got gravitational acceleration. It is 50 times larger than what we would consider a starship to be. If it is technological, yes, we're screwed. Well, again, just because it's fast doesn't necessarily mean that it's evil. But that's the narrative that they're putting out. Is it an alien probe or a mirror from a civilization beyond ours? The truth is about to be declassified. So here's another one. Diva Nagala, Three-Eye Atlas cleared toxic masculinity at Mars, died and rebirthed at the sun, absorbed the divine feminine at Venus, and now delivers a new balanced frequency to Earth, peaking on December 19th. We also have Richard Powell. Are you familiar and have an opinion on Galactic Federation of Light? Saying that it's a 3i Atlas is a benevolent craft with ETs to ease in disclosure. I don't really know anything about it. I just focus on what I'm doing. But yeah, so I don't really know what other channels have to say. I'm very busy. I don't really have the time to watch all this stuff. But anyway, my take on it is that Uncle Jack warned me in the past, and we're going to read from what Michael had to say in the past as well, because it was a very interesting thing. So this picture came out. This is very fascinating. Starfront Observatories showed this one, and this is the latest image that we have. In fact, let me, again, I got to get you the full scope of that one because we cut the image, I guess, and I want to get the whole thing. So let me, let's just zoom out on that one a little bit. Let's see here. Hold on. I want to get something going. Starfront Observatories. Where was that one? Okay. Actually, we don't need to worry about it. Anyway, let's go back to that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to paste it in here, and we're going to make it bigger, make it smaller. There we go. That's all I needed to do. See, I can fix it. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Something happened where I didn't get this quite lined up properly, but we can fix it very easily. All right. Sorry, everybody, and we're back to the show. Breaking. 3i Atlas looks unreal this morning. Refined 8K observatory-grade image captured by Starfront Observatories, Chuck's astrophotography. This is the sharpest look yet at interstellar comet 3i Atlas as it races through the inner solar system. So it is interesting that it's so green, and we're now at 4,200 viewers, so we're doing great. Thank you, moderators, for keeping up with everything. I really appreciate that. That image is alarming, to say the least. Scare event looks like a ship to me. Yes, so this is the sharpest look yet that we've had, and as you look at it, it looks very, very interesting. Maybe I'll even zoom in on it a little bit more for you guys so we can really get the close-up here. And I'll do another zoom in. All right. So now we're going to answer Paula Mignon's question. She's been asking over and over again. And so we're going to get into what I believe was the official statement from Michael on this that we got a couple weeks ago. We've added that to the show by popular demand. So here we go. Let's get right back in there. All right. Yeah, it looks pretty freaking cool, doesn't it? And it's got the sunward-facing jet. So it would appear. It's got the backward-facing jet. It's green. And then we zoom in even more. Yeah, it looks pretty freaking cool to me. So let's now review the Archangel Michael time loop, what it said from our last reading on June 17th, 1999, where Michael says, "We have come allying ourselves with those highest forces of love and light to ensure that no one is harmed further than necessary. In the event that a special staged appearance does occur, we have all the contingencies with women in place to make them back down." And then Michael defines women in the next passage. He is talking about an angelic intervention. So yes, to answer her question, this is what I think it is. In the event that a special staged appearance does occur, this is what I believe to be the staged appearance. I was warned about it in 2010. I was warned about what would become 3i Atlas. I was told that we would see something like this. We're seeing it now. In the event that a special staged appearance does occur, we have all the contingencies to make them back down. So again, the Werner von Braun theory that this is staged mock alien invasion seems like it's right on. The contingencies with women, well, who are the women? Who are the women that he's talking about here? Okay, let's read that. I said mentally, what women? And he says, the women we speak of are those angelic entities of light who can mediate in conflicts through means direct and obviously more indirect as well. And so as I wrote at the time, before the Three-Eye Atlas thing was a big deal, this is a fascinating statement of how Michael and his people are working behind the scenes to save our planet from extreme danger. Okay, so the women that we speak of are angelic entities of light who can, in fact, let me go ahead and make that change. We'll do that part right now. We will actually change that right there. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning now. We're going to redo this whole thing again. We have come aligning ourselves with those highest forces of love and light to ensure that no one is harmed further than necessary. No one is harmed. In fact, let me go ahead and I'm gonna actually highlight that as well. Okay, because this is really important stuff. You want to get to the core of what Michael was actually saying. This is my belief that this came in from the positive source. No one is harmed far further than necessary, implying, because again, this showed up right as the object first started to get hyped up. Joe Moreno says, fear-based consciousness to 5D unity can be interrupted or delayed by anything keeping you anchored in lower frequency loops. Think of it as static on your ascension signal. That is right. Essene priestesses in ethereal places. That's amazing, David. What a great reminder. So he is saying some people will be harmed, which is necessary? No. No one is harmed further than necessary. I mean, the idea is hopefully there is no necessity. But the beings have to allow our karma to play out. This is an important point. Thank you for bringing up the philosophical message. Yet over it, your YouTube is fine, no problem. 3i Atlas is plasma, get on with it, you are brilliant. Michael is speaking about a group of light workers known as the Daughters of Heaven. Michael Murdoch has been channeling info on this matter. Well, I don't know if that's true, but definitely some type of angelic women, some type of divine forces that are helping out our planet is clearly what Michael is talking about here. So yes, you got to look at, again, I know that some people want to go with an esoteric interpretation and say 3i Atlas is this wonderful thing and it's brilliant, but the way the media is handling it, the way that they play it up, the way that they're selling it and selling it and selling it, every single thing that happens, it's artificial. It's like really almost a goofy amount of conspiracy theory that we're seeing to keep saying that it's artificial. Like, I don't believe that this is random. I believe that this is intentional. It's not acting like a comet. It is doing weird stuff. It is going into the inner solar system. It does have the weird nickel outgassing. It is steering towards the planets. It is along the ecliptic plane. It is brightening and doing weird stuff. It does have a sunward jet. It's behaving strangely. So what is it? And is it actually something that was intended to look like an extraterrestrial artifact? Yes, I believe it is. I believe it is being piloted for a reason. David P. break soon. I could use a break myself, says Prince Royal. Well, I'm probably just going to keep on going. But, my mouth is dry. But if I speak this much, I also exhale water and I can actually stay on the air. But anyway, further than is necessary maybe to get rid of the DS. Well, again, karma could play out. It may be necessary, just like Hiroshima, Nagasaki had to happen. Maybe they will have to allow, maybe higher beings will have to allow this object to do a little bit of damage just to wake us up as a planet. It might be authorized to do some of that. We don't really know. Yet they say there's a necessary scare event, also mentions DEFCON 1. Who knows what this could be? But anyway, ensure that no one is harmed further than necessary. In the event that a special staged appearance does occur, we have all the contingencies with women in place to make them back down. And Michael defines women in the next passage. This is talking about an angelic intervention. So a staged appearance that would potentially be harmful, they will make them back down. They are not, this is not going to do what the Werner von Braun scenario that Jack told me about in 2010 would say. And again, if you got to go to the bathroom with me, just bring the laptop into the bathroom if you're on a laptop or something, or your phone. God is patient with us. We can be patient with David. Ancient builder woman, I'm really curious if you believe there was an ancient builder race. Yes. In fact, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. So I said, what women? And they said, the women we speak of are those angelic entities of light who can mediate in conflicts. So they're clearly anticipating that there is going to be a conflict. Mediate in conflicts through means direct and obviously more indirect as well. This is a fascinating statement of how Michael and his people are working behind the scenes to save our planet from extreme danger. So again, the conflict could be coming in through 3i Atlas, through this staged fake invasion. It happens to be 33 billion tons. It happens to be Manhattan size. That flags the idea of the alien invasion of Manhattan. Very, very interesting, isn't it? So this whole thing, he says here, going back to the slide now, let's just hit that again. This whole thing is about, whoops. Yeah, we're back to that. Angelic entities of light who can mediate in conflicts, and obviously direct means and indirect as well. And again, indirect means we may not ever know that there were higher beings involved. They prefer not to interfere with our free will. And I think that's the way it's going to stay. But they might be doing things that we just didn't actually see. Miles Irvin says, if you still need screeners, I hereby volunteer. Well, thank you. We do have enough. And they're working for free, which is great. Thank you guys for doing that. Anyway, next slide. The whole thing is about furnishing the house with new sets of equipment, discharging old penances, and realizing never-before-seen opportunities, even in the midst of the most adverse circumstances. Think about it. And so this was another direct reference to the sale of my home, 621, which will then be filled with new equipment, but it's much bigger than that. Furnishing the house with new sets of equipment, isn't it interesting? This is prophetic of 47 remodeling the east wing into the ballroom. And I think it's also much bigger than that. That's part of the prophecy of it, talking about the house being the earth and new sets of equipment being disclosure and new technologies. My company, Stavati Aerospace, is involved in that. There are other companies involved in it as well. And we're all working together to try to bring you great new stuff. Discharging old penances. You know, this is about defeating the DS, getting to a peaceful planet that we all want to have. Even in the midst of the most adverse circumstances, it is very difficult to be on Earth right now. So, again, my take on this is that it was built in classified programs. I do not believe that we're dealing with something that is natural, and I do not believe that it is actually extraterrestrial at all. I think it is built by our own secret forces. And my insiders have revealed that the DS has a robust component that goes through space and has all kinds of reverse engineered technology. They have off-planet bases, they have underground bases, there's stuff on the moon, there's stuff on Mars, there's stuff on moons and asteroids in our solar system. We have a very large build-out that we're all going to learn about in time. And even though there's only a small group of people who are aware of this on Earth, the number of people involved in it is in the millions, multiple millions, many, many, many individuals. Elements of the military-industrial complex are definitely in cahoots with the Draco, with the reptilians. This is one of the things that we hear from various sources. So, yeah, there could even be Draco in it. And they said if there's a special staged appearances that occur, we will make them back down to ensure that no one is harmed, at least not further than necessary. There might be a little bit that's allowed to occur. So who knows? I mean, we don't know what this is yet. It could get very sci-fi. 3i Atlas is being built up by the media like never before. Wouldn't it be crazy if they said that there's reptilians in it? Wouldn't it be crazy if they bring out that part of the narrative? Cheryl Driscoll says, yes, God bless the Alliance. If this is necessary for me, I humbly accept any punishment and repentance. Forgive me for complaining. I was once a sinner before God took over. Thank you, Jesus, and thank you, angels. That's right. So if it is satellite, I'm going to laugh. Dracos are not allowed in our galaxy. If they snuck in, you were the one who let them in. Draco have been run out of here. All right. So we're at 2 hours and 23 minutes. We're doing great on the slides. Everything is great. Elements of the military-industrial complex have been in cahoots with them. This is one of the things that, again, I've met, at least 30, 40 different insiders, different whistleblowers. They all pretty much tell me similar things. Well, that's not really true, but there's common themes, common narratives that I've been able to extract out of the things that I've heard. And it's extremely fascinating as we look at this to find out how all these pieces fit together and where the information is really taking us. Thank you again for the super chats. Anybody who donates, you are really helping us out, and we need those to please keep on coming. David, all your predictions are absolutely correct. God bless you. Lord knows it's going to get weird, says Ode to Hip Hop. What if the ship is Archangel Michael, says Maria Davis. I really don't think that's what it is. Again, the Michael prophecy showed up at just the right time when this thing was first starting to get hyped up. A special staged appearance that occurs that, we mediate in conflicts and we don't want anybody to be harmed. So those messages to me really constitute the closest that Michael has gotten to talking about this yet and what is really going on here. And, I'm very interested in all this, obviously. So yes, there's a negative ET component. One of the things our insiders have told us is there is no space without Satan. There is definitely a negative, evil component to what's going on out there in space. That is part of the issue. We have to face that. And that, there's elements, some of it is good, but some of it is also definitely overrun with the negative, and they are allowing the negative to do various things. The Draco reptilians are one of the most common elements that we hear from all of these different people. Here's a good question. Joanne Rose Valenzuela Charnes says, can you explain any disappearances in the national parks, forces pulling you into different timelines and dimensions? Some have come back and some don't. Well, I think that there is actually underground bases in various national parks, and I think that people do get pulled into them sometimes. Some of those bases may be extraterrestrial in nature, so there's a lot of interesting work that's been done on that, and it's not something that you really want to do. You don't want to be alone in a national park. Make sure that you travel with other people because sometimes people disappear, and there's a lot of stories out there about that. If you start looking it up, use keywords like national parks, abduction, UFOs, you'll find the information. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. I can't remember his name. I'm embarrassed. But anyway, very, very interesting stuff here. So might this object, 3i Atlas, actually attack the Earth? Yes, it might. I mean, that's what Michael is implying when he says special staged appearance and that they're going to mediate in conflicts. That actually could happen. And if so, the controllers could decide to actually carry through with this or not. So that was another one of the things that Uncle Jack said. He said that they have 6 different scenarios, and so if one of the scenarios doesn't work out, they switch to another one. So they might still dump the whole... Oh, yeah, you're right. David Paulitis. Thank you very much. David Paulitis. Missing 411. Thank you. I used the brain of the audience to get that information out, and I'm so glad that you guys... Because I want to give him credit. I met him in person way back when we were on a shoot, and I got to talk to him. And yes, he is definitely dialed in. He's got a lot of interesting things going on. Thank you for all the questions about Dr. Greer, but David is doing a show and it's becoming spammy. Thank you, fam. I don't know what everybody's asking about Dr. Greer, but yeah, the point is, this is my information. Dr. Greer, I was at his disclosure project in 2001. We talked about that in the movie. And I'm trying to remember what the heck, the movie Sirius. We talked about that in Sirius. So they may decide to carry through with the 3i Atlas plan or not. And remember, Michael also said that they use indirect means. So perhaps by talking about what they're doing, what's going on, we can try to expand this so that it doesn't turn into something really bad, which would be great. I don't want it to be anything bad. So I believe we're going to be okay despite all of this fear-mongering. I honestly do. I have a very positive perspective because, again, as Michael just said, benevolent ETs, the women he talks about, they will stop anything that we do not authorize as a planet. So what does that mean? That means that as a planet, we either authorize positive or negative events based upon our collective karma. The more loving we can be towards each other, the more we can up-level our civic discourse, up-level our rhetoric, treat each other with compassion, respect, live responsible, honorable lives, show forgiveness to those who have hurt us. And also, again, I believe this has to do with the alliance, to behave with as much honor and integrity as possible, and to bring those who are trying to hurt us to justice, to bring us to disclosure, to an understanding. This is all very, very important. So everything is a game, but the war is real. He talked about that. The next 60 days are very important. That's very interesting, right? That brings us into February, right around the time that this object is going to be getting closer to the Earth, and that, you know, maybe more of the agenda is going to happen. I expect that they're going to continue to, I mean, yeah, the perihelion thing, when it went around the sun, that was a big deal for us, but they're going to keep on talking about 3I Atlas, and we might even get pictures from NASA that show something that looks artificial. All of this stuff could happen. It's a big, big buildup. You know, again, if you're playing around with fear-mongering, it's not like it all happens at once. You don't just suddenly get stabbed. You got to hear the weird noise in the room, and oh my God, what was that? And then it sounds like somebody's coming closer. What was that? What's happening? Why am I hearing all these noises? So again, we have to authorize negative events to occur on Earth, and hopefully we're not going to do that. Hopefully we keep things positive. So I have a positive message about this. Even though they're doing all this fear-mongering, even though I'm sharing with you what I'm seeing, I don't believe this is going to turn out negatively. I believe we're actually going to be okay, and that benevolent ETs of whatever variety, planetary protectors, you know, and they are much bigger than me, by the way. This does not reflect upon my own credibility as a channel or whether Michael prophecies are real or not real. I do believe that we have Christian angels that do exist and that they've showed up in other cultures as well. I do believe they are consistent throughout ancient cultures and ancient scriptures, and so please don't judge them just based upon what you may or may not think of me. And I'm also talking to people in the Alliance as well, just, you know, for whatever reason. If we have this ancient presence, if we have benevolent human ETs, all of the different insiders I've spoken about in these insider revelations, they know that we have benevolent human ETs going back through history, that they show up now. They call them the Intergalactic Sierra Club or the a-hole hippies from outer space. They want to preserve our planet. They want to keep us safe. They are orbs of light that project into human form, though they don't need to be. They can do that if they want to. They call it a rather difficult configuration that they can focus on. There's many, many examples of benevolent human ETs showing up in the 1950s. Yes, my life is difficult right now. Yes, doing this work has brought a lot of anger and pain and fear and insomnia into my life, but I do not want whatever happens to me or whatever is happening to me to reflect on them. That's a very important thing. I'm just one person out here trying to give my message, and the message, I believe, is far more universal than just me. These beings are real. They do exist. If I got myself in trouble, if I've had certain amounts of karma I'm burning off, that's okay. Hopefully I'm going to be okay. Hopefully I can resolve those issues. It would be great if I can, but we don't really know the answer yet. So I'm just working through everything as best I can. But as a planet, we want to all try to work to be as positive as possible, keep the positive focus, and the benevolent ETs will, again, stop anything that we do not authorize. I said some cool stuff, so let me just hear what you guys have to say here. There's over 4,000 of us here. I believe we are ready for disclosure. The time is now, and we want to know. That was Serena Bella 111. Guys, we're in this together. David is along the ride with the rest of us. It's all a movie, no fear, says Kev the Tech. Joe Moreno says, I'm praying for you, David. Thank you very much. We're living in exciting times. We will not authorize this event. We got him elected, didn't we? Karma means taking action to get back in alignment with your higher self. It is not punishment. We're still holding true at 4,264 viewers. Enlightenment is to be an awareness of all, the dark and the light, says James Gilland. Yeah, I would agree with that. You have to be aware of your own weaknesses inside yourself as well as your strengths. You want to promote both of those things. Fear weakens you physically and mentally. Be happy and love yourself, says Anna Nishida. I would totally agree. And again, I'm so glad that you guys are here. We've now had 19,465 views total, and we've got 4,264 people holding true with us as concurrent viewers. That is incredible. And again, Larry Jackson, can you please acknowledge that I exist? Well, I just did. So thank you, Larry. Thank you. And we did just acknowledge you. David, your jokes are corny and you're a dork, says Tony. That's really funny. Annette Chastain says, I see you, Larry. Oh, well, he just got deleted for saying that. But I read it anyway. All right. Smash the like button. Let's pull in more folks. I thought it was a mole. It wasn't a mole. It looks like it was a shaving scar that somehow got reactivated. No big deal. It bled a little bit. That's okay. Dorks are cool. I respect you, David, or not. I respect you, David. Spammy or not, I'm disappointed you forgot or are covering up. I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, we're talking about insider revelations, and they're all very relevant to what's going on right now. So again, anything that we do not authorize will be stopped. And I want the Alliance to know that these beings do have our higher interests in mind. And yes, I've made my own mistakes, but I do believe I'm speaking about something that is positive and Christian and benevolent. This may inadvertently trigger positive. The whole 3i Atlas thing, this happens so often when the negative tries to do bad stuff, they inadvertently trigger positive events to occur they had not anticipated. This is one of the funny elements of how this all goes down, that you don't expect that it's going to be negative. You might expect it's going to be negative. You might think, okay, yeah, they're trying to hurt us. They're trying to do these bad things. But then when they actually make the attempt, when they actually try to do the invasion, they try to attack the earth, it triggers something positive. Because again, I think disclosure and I think everybody learning the truth about our reality is a big positive. That was actually funny. I'm glad David found it funny too. I'm dying behind the screen right now. We're all dorks. Dorks united, says Essential Goddess. So we don't need to be afraid. We don't need to be afraid of all these things that they're trying to make us afraid of. We can feel better about ourselves and recognize that, this is all coming in for a reason. We have a lot of good things happening. We got to focus on the positive, focus on the strength that we share in this community that we've built together, the community that keeps us alive and informed and happily working with each other. I'm really glad about that. So the true story of disclosure is much bigger than the fear that we have out there. And it is not just that there's some invading alien object that's going to hurt everybody. It's actually a very positive thing. So I wanted to do a little at the end here of the show. We got about a half an hour left to go. Yes, David Paulitis, missing 411. This is going to trigger a lot of positive, you guys are saying. So we will begin now to summarize some of these insider revelations that I've learned over time. And this is the best way to open up the narrative, but the overall story is much too big for us to cover in one episode. In fact, there's so many different ways we can go with insider narratives. It's huge. But I want to begin talking about our cosmic history based upon multiple insiders. And this is stuff I've talked about before, yes, but it's very significant. So I began researching paranormal subjects when I was 5 years old, 1978. I was already reading a book called Strange Stories and Amazing Facts. I was learning about ancient civilizations, and I really enjoyed everything that I was finding out about. Phil Schneider, yes, he was one of them. Cheryl Driscoll says, David, I concur. Burning off karma is necessary. The attitude of gratitude is absolutely necessary. Okay. So I began researching this stuff way back when I was 5 years old, and I read over 300 books on the paranormal in college, and the Monuments of Mars is the one that really blew me away the most. So isn't it weird that they're now tying that narrative in with Dr. Avi Loeb, the face on Mars, all this kind of stuff? It's like right from the beginning of when I really got activated into the UFO field, starting in college, as all these things really became clear to me on a deeper level that, wow, there is some type of artifacts. It was the Monuments of Mars. This is the way the book looked when I got my copy of it. That was the first version of it that I ever saw. And so I got this book. It was somehow I had a roommate who had watched the video of him making a presentation at the United Nations. And I was able to find this book, order this book. This was before the internet. And it just blew me away so much. Wait a minute, what are you talking about? There's a face on Mars? And I had seen that all the way back in an astronomy magazine called Odyssey. It was astronomy for kids. And I was reading that book in school. I'd bring it to school with me. It was a magazine, a monthly periodical. I brought it to school all the time, pretty much every day, and I got a lot of heckling for it. But I was really into astronomy, and I was really into extraterrestrials and space travel and all those kind of things. Maybe I had UFO contact. Maybe I was brought into some type of abduction experience. There's definitely many suggestions of that in my book, Ascension Mysteries. So this is nothing new for me. I think I probably was brought into some type of unusual circumstance. I don't really remember a whole lot of it, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's what happened. We've talked about that a lot last year. Monuments of Mars really, really set me off in a whole new direction, brought me to all kinds of new understandings. I got online in December 1995. I started listening to Art Bell, and then here he was, the same guy who is now very, very popular. And at the time, it was just something that I thought was my own private little thing. Oh, Richard Hoagland, nobody knows about that. I'm like the only one who's ever read this book. No, it actually turns out that by 1995, the monuments of Mars were very frequently being discussed on Art Bell. And a lot of this stuff that we're seeing with the age of disclosure and what Avi Loeb is releasing, he says geometric objects on Mars and the moon, that's not new. So I think they're going to tie together a narrative. I think they're going to work a narrative out of all this that will incorporate 3i Atlas, that will incorporate all of these different elements in a very interesting way. So there he was. Remember, he was on CNN. He was on Network News as a space correspondent. And this was him holding up an image of the face on Mars. And when you look at it, yeah, it's very, very anomalous. It does have kind of like a headdress around it. You see there's like a headdress along the top. And we're about to hit 20,000 views, which is great. We're at 4,187 concurrent viewers. Hoagland was a rare gem back then, says Ode to Hip Hop. You're absolutely right. He is a legend. The cocoon labyrinthian cities on the surface of Mars are mind-blowing. That is totally true. The movie Prometheus pushed the face narrative. So did Mission to Mars. There's various movies that did that. Planet of the Apes. You're absolutely right. He looks like the guitar player from Hot Tuna, says Choosy Heretics. That's funny. That's really funny. Anyway, yeah. So this was Richard on the air, and this is a side view of what we see here, that not only is it a face, you see that up on the top right, but on the bottom right is certainly the five-sided pyramid, and then on the left, we see what appears to be like a city of objects. Now, none of them are absolutely perfect, but if you look, there is, first of all, at the top of that city on the left, you see this strange right angle geometry. In fact, let me do it the right way. It's going to go actually that way. Yeah, like that. Okay. So notice that. Notice that it actually looks like the corner of a building, the foundation of a building poking out, and what's next to it almost looks like a rocket. It's got a right angle. And that's exactly what Dr. Avi Loeb was just talking about. And we're scanning for these things. No, we've already found them. They wrote this narrative a long time ago. Uncle Jack told me about 3i Atlas back in 2010, that they were going to do something like this, that it was going to be a staged invasion. That's what the Michael prophecy seems to say. We have contingencies in place to make sure that no one is harmed more than necessary. There may be a certain amount of necessary harm that's allowed to occur in order to create a global awakening. I hope not, but it's a possibility. And then we've got these pyramids next to the face on Mars. Two of them on either side there. At least there's two of them, plus that rectilinear building. So this may have actually been, we now know that Mars had oceans. And in fact, part of the narrative that we get is that Mars was inhabited and that it had humans on it. And it was, in fact, a watery moon orbiting a super-Earth that the Law of One series calls Maldek. Another name for it is Lucifer. The planet apparently was huge. It was a super-Earth, and it blew up. And after it blew up, it created the asteroid belt, creating all these asteroids, and it created dirty snowball comets. And those comets are still something that we see because they give off water and they give off ice. And that's actually the oceans from this destroyed planet. So Mars was apparently a watery, Earth-like planet that orbited a much larger Earth. So if you were on the big planet, you'd see the little planet up in the sky. Now, did those cultures originally have contact with each other? Probably not. You might have had two different human cultures that independently evolved on two different worlds and didn't connect with each other until they achieved space travel. Whoever did it first would then reach the other one. But they may have been like petri dishes that developed independently of each other. And so that's one of the weird pieces of history that we MME Studio said, David, this is Cosmic Charades. Could it be this or that? Lovely show. Thank you very much. Kai Cushing says, happy, happy, joy, joy. Brian Williamson says, great stuff, David. The light will overcome all darkness. Sarah Love says, David, you are cool. David, you look great, says Laura Rose, healthy and happy. Great show, David. What would be the real reason for a staged invasion, says Elizabeth Collins. Again, the staged invasion would probably be about, starting to lose my voice here. Staged invasion is about stopping the controllers from losing all their power. God Phoenix says, I first learned about the face on Mars on Unsolved Mysteries, and I've been obsessed ever since. The episode of the face in it cannot be found anymore. Isn't that weird? That is weird. So thank you guys again for donating. That was a great thing to see the donation. Jim Mars was awesome too, says Space Cadet Lottie. Yeah, so this is a very curious thing. The face on Mars, the pyramids on Mars is one of the greatest photos we have. Let's see, look at that one down on the right. We're going to zoom in on that now from the top down. You're going to see a top-down view. And it actually does have a five-sided appearance. It's almost like the Vitruvian Man upside down. The image of the human being with his arms out and the legs and everything. If you got to look at it upside down. But there you go. And so, yeah, there's definitely monuments on Mars. There's definitely artifacts. And Dr. Avi Loeb is teasing about this in his disclosures. Remember, what did we just see? He's calling for immediate international coordination. Planets, particularly Mars and the Moon, without atmospheres, could host ancient technological debris from past civilizations preserved perfectly on their surfaces for millions or even billions of years. And then he also said, we're scanning Mars for anomalies, right-angled structures, geometric patterns, but we're not ready for what we might find. The real threat is intelligent alien objects following unpredictable paths that we can't anticipate. So there you go. That is why I think, again, that what we are going to see is more of this kind of stuff with the face on Mars, with the narratives that we've already been accustomed to. This is stuff that is not an accident. There's no accident that we have these artifacts that we've been talking about them forever. And Richard C. Hoagland also had a whole theorem of physics that he built off of this. But now they're trying to tie it into the so-called alien threat. I mean, you look at that five-sided pyramid, it's very interesting. And you also notice over on the right-hand side, it looks like there's a little black dot over there. Do you see that? Now, I want you to look at that black dot, and then I want you to notice that it almost looks like there's a river of melted material coming away from the black dot. And yes, I think that's what it is. I actually think that, like what Richard C. Hoagland said, that this was once what he calls an arcology, meaning that it was a huge building, 1.5 miles wide. That's how big this is. Imagine now that this was made out of glass. It's now covered with all of this debris of sand and, Martian dust, but that at one time it was glass, you could see outside, and if you looked at it, if you look at where it is positioned compared to the face on Mars, there is an observation deck. In other words, look at you're looking at the face on Mars, it's up there at the top. Notice that if you go off to the left now, you have that right angle, that strange thing that looks almost like a compass square, like the square and compass, the Masonic compass, right next to that circular ring in the desert that we see in the middle. There's that right angle shape. That is a perfect observation deck to look at the face, to watch the sun rise over the face. You have the same thing down there on the right where the five-sided pyramid is. You can look at the face from there, and it actually has an observation deck. So notice that on the top of the pyramid is that little triangular outpost that comes out above it. You see that? That would be the deck that people could walk out onto. Millions of people potentially could stand out there and look at the face. And then it's, again, right next to where you would be standing. You look at it there on the bottom right. That's where the deck is. It's pointed right at the face. So this is the accurate orientation of it relative to the face. It's clearly a pyramid. And it's also got buttresses. That's another thing Richard always used to talk about. Notice that there's 5 spines coming off that make it pyramidal. And at the bottom of those spines, they have built up reinforcement, which is exactly what you would do with a piece of architecture to try to build up the reinforcement of the structure so it will hold up better and it will be more structurally sound to hold the weight of the whole structure. But now I want you to again look at the far right side and notice that right at the bottom of the structure, where the structure meets the ground, is what looks like a round black hole. This may have been a missile strike. There may have been a war against these people in which a missile was launched into the ground and then it actually blew up and it caused elements inside that dome, inside that pyramid, to melt, and the melt off then hardened up into that long straight line that we see, which looks like melted material that got like it actually became solidified. So this may have been a structure that had millions of people living in it at one time, and they had a war and they got blown up, and that is exactly what the insiders tell us happened, that Mars got blown up, that there was a war between these two planets at some point, and that this was part of the hidden history of our solar system. Yes, and it doesn't look like a pentagon. It does look like a pentagon. You're absolutely right. It's clearly made by intelligent beings. So, you know, this story of the war, this story of the planet being blown up, all of this stuff might get disclosed at some point in the 3I Atlas story. Maybe even the idea that the people who blew up these planets are coming back. Maybe that they're reptilians. I mean, who the hell knows what they're going to do? But it definitely is part of the story, and it's a very curious thing after all these years and having talked about Mars and being an expert on it for so long, this is all coming back. But there was always a benevolent part to the story as well, and that was Richard talking about the Mars alignments and hyperdimensional physics, which became the mainstay of my life's work. And that again was where he was talking about that the positions of the different monuments together talked about this 19.5 degree angle that shows up on a latitude of a planet where there's an energy upwelling, 19.5 degrees north or south. So like the great red spot of Jupiter shows up there, the great dark spot of Neptune, the cloud bands of Saturn, the solar activity on the sun. Sunspots don't go above 19.5 north or south. That's a big discussion we don't have time to get into today. I've been talking for a long time already. We're almost at the 3-hour mark. So again, this became the mainstay of my life's work. And then at the same time that I was learning about all this online and I was reading all these books, I discovered the Law of One series, which again to me is very highly credible. This was in 1996, and I discovered beautiful tie-ins with the Law of One. Now again, the Law of One, the first book is called The Ra Material by Ra, a humble messenger of the Law of One. What they say is that the Great Pyramid was built by them as a monument to the future coming Christ. So the Egyptians called them Ra, and they explained that after they built the pyramid, it got captured by the negative, turned into something that wasn't positive, something that was negative, where it was being used as a symbol of this swamp, as we now call it. So it's a very interesting thing. They said they had to come back and fix the mistakes that they made. And again, I believe the credibility of the Law of One stands on its own, independently of whether you think I have credibility or not. The Law of One is a defining source text. It has so many interesting tie-ins with stuff that I heard from various insiders. And they talk extensively in the Law of One, as we've said, about sacred geometry, geometric thoughts that then iterate into matter. Again, way beyond the scope of today's discussion. But so Hoagland's thing ties in beautifully with the Law of One because he talked about sacred geometry appearing in the planets at this 19.5 degree latitude. So we talked about this before, that there's the shape. It's the Merkaba shape. And somehow you have the great red spot on Jupiter. It's been there for ever since we developed the telescope. This huge spot, it stays right at 19.5 degrees. Same thing, Neptune has a great dark spot. He believed that this is a physics that's causing this. It's something having to do with gravity and spin in gravity that causes this to happen. It's very, very cool. So one of the other insiders that was very important in all this was Lieutenant Colonel Tom Bearden. He helped put this data together. There's a still image of him from one of the videos. I got very heavily involved in researching Dr. Tom Bearden's work, Lieutenant Colonel Tom Bearden. He had a major, major focus on scalar wave technology. And that is a technology that has fearsome applications. It's something that uses a scalar wave, meaning the wave moves forwards and backwards at the same time along an even trajectory, and it just keeps on going that way. Let's hear from some of your comments here real quick. They are waiting to meet us, says MJF, but first we have to evolve as a higher civilization, no wars among ourselves as humans, cooperation, service to others, and so forth. Ode to Hip Hop says the law of one is very profound. It could take lifetimes to properly digest it. That is true. Come on, let's go. Smash the like button. 4,018 viewers, only 2,500 likes. That's right, Jennifer B. It's also Hawaii. 19.5 degrees is the big highland. And that is absolutely true. Solar Warden. I noticed your chat disappeared just after I donated with a comment about the Disclosure movie that was talked about on Fox yesterday. So yeah, this is a very interesting thing, the law of one and how it all fits together with what we saw from Hoagland. The scalar wave technology was a big thing about Bearden. We're kind of past the point we can talk about that right now because we're late into the show. But anyway, these were the Giza alignments behind him. This is Richard Hoagland talking about this, holding up a tetrahedral type of object for comparison. And it was a new model of physics. And then Hoagland also brought in this insider named Bruce. And I was able to actually meet Bruce in 2007. It was very fascinating. And he's still out there, by the way. I'm not going to say who he is, but he still speaks in a certain public forum. He hasn't gone away. He's still out there. And, I don't speak to him myself because we had our own history with each other. Richard had the same thing. Richard had a falling out with him. I kind of had a falling out with Bruce, too. Most of my insiders, something ended up happening at some point, and we don't talk anymore. But, these things occur. Anyway, so the hyperdimensional physics thing really set me off, and as you guys know, I've had a lot to say about that over the years. It's a very, very important part of my life, and it's really, really cool. Scott Opper says, we love you, David. Well, thank you, Scott. Thank you for being here. And just got on, absolutely. I'm going to listen to the replay in Scotland. I love your brilliant work, says Paula H. Thank you very, very much. All right. So he disclosed the cosmic history of our solar system, which is a very fascinating and robust story that we'll get into probably a little later. But just to open this up, I want to remind you that all the way back with the Disclosure Project in 2001, we were already hearing about artifacts on other planets. It wasn't just the Richard Hoagland thing. This is a big part of what Dr. Greer was talking about. This is the way he looked back in the day. And I was fascinated to be there on November the 10th, or May 10th, meeting some of the insiders, of which he had, I believe, 34 or 39. It was something like that. They've got 34 people in the new movie, too. So I got to meet a lot of them. I was invited in there. 39 is what I'm saying right here. That's what I committed to. It might have been 34. I don't really remember. But I got invited as a VIP after I was lucky enough to get myself on the Art Bell show. And that was back in 2001. So I paid, I think it was $120. I had the VIP status, and I was able to meet most of these people throughout the week. So many of their testimonies lined up beautifully with the Law of One series, with things I'd already read before. And so one of them was Donna Hare. And she was talking about ET artifacts being airbrushed out of NASA photos. So this is, again, nothing new. It wasn't just UFOs, it was also architecture that she was talking about. So again, this is something that's been going on for a long time. They've known these things. They've got this information ready to go. And why is this being such a big part of the insider revelations with 3i Atlas? Why is Dr. Avi Loeb bringing this up now? Again, we haven't really seen the answer yet. We don't really know the answer, but it's very interesting. Timbo says, David is the youngest OG. Ever seen the show V? There's a 1980s version, a 2009 remake. Yes, I've seen both of them. Barron was in the Trump train, says Tom LED. Patty McConna just donated. Thank you very, very much. Yep, 6 months later, you have the event of 2001 that occurred, and all this fell by the wayside. Shaking my head. So, yeah, and somebody says I got to meet Carla Rucker, who channeled the Law of One. She was still having weekly meetings in her home, and she has now passed on. That's right. So it was fascinating to go to the Disclosure Project event, to meet Donna Hare. She is one of the people I spoke to briefly, but I did get the chance to meet with her in person And yes, this is something that's been going on for a long time. So they know that there's stuff out there. And when you get into the deeper space programs, they have bases on Mars, bases on the moon. We'll talk all about that in future episodes. Another one, yeah, Moon and Mars, she talked about as far as I remember. And then we also had I don't know if he was doctor, but Karl Wolfe, who had an amazing story, and it's worth going back and looking at that again. The videos are still out there, where he went to the NSA and that they actually had images of architecture on the moon. And this is him when he was talking about all this stuff. And he was very much adamantly saying that he, was thinking that it was going to come out in the open, hoping that it would come out in the open, and they threatened him. And they said, no, you're never going to see any of this. Unfortunately, he died in a tragic bicycle accident, and it looked like it was some kind of inside job. So again, everybody that does this is at risk. We don't really know, what's going to happen to anybody. But, we just want to stay safe, everybody. That's very important. Kathleen Buss says, I always look forward to your shows on Sundays. They are so interesting. Paul Cannon says, it's good to review this material, especially for newcomers. Yeah, it is time to review this material because, again, we are dealing with, very interesting stuff that is now coming to a head. All this stuff with Dr. Avi Loeb, it's coming to a head. It's now reached its apex point. And, I'm very fascinated by this. It's not going to go away. They're pushing this out in the media. It's an ongoing narrative that we keep hearing over and over again. So Karl Wolfe was a really important one of those whistleblowers because I forget exactly when it was. It might have been the 70s or the 80s, but there he was in the NSA's office. And they had mushroom-shaped buildings. They had dome-shaped buildings. They had very clearly artificial-looking stuff on the moon. That's why we don't see very much of it. We don't get to have high-resolution images. There's a lot of stuff. In fact, my insider, Pete Peterson, said that the moon looks like Manhattan on the dark side, that most of the ET civilizations all cluster on the dark side of the moon specifically so that we don't see them here on Earth because the moon always faces us the same way. That's why we have a face on the moon. It's the same face, it's the same part of the moon that's always faced to us because it's got gravitational capture. So the other side of the moon has this city on it. And that's very interesting, isn't it? So then another insider who I got to meet back then was Daniel Salter. And he was talking about how he was part of a team that stopped witnesses on UFO subjects from speaking out. Now, right there in the front at the microphone is Sergeant Clifford Stone. But there in the back is Daniel Salter. And I did get to speak to him a little bit. He was very shy and reserved, but we did talk a little. And he came out with a book called Life with a Cosmos Clearance. It says, Agent Daniel Salter is a retired former counterintelligence agent for the Scientific and Technical Unit of Interplanetary Phenomena in Washington, D.C. He was a member of the Pilot Air Force, the NRO, National Reconnaissance Office, which you hear lots and lots of stuff about them having to do with UFO-related subjects, and DCCD, Development of Conscious Contact Citizenry Department with the U.S. military. Wow, that sounds interesting, doesn't it? He was a Conrad courier for President Eisenhower with a clearance for above top secret cosmic and a member of the original Project Blue Book. His expertise was in radar and electronics. His field of investigation, UFOs, aliens, and particleization, which is about the idea of like dematerialization, rematerialization, the kind of the 3D printing. Now he's 75 years old. He has both Comanche and French ancestry. And I want to point out that his sons are eager to speak out. I've been very, very distracted and busy, so they did reach out to me. Thank you guys for doing that. And I will hopefully reach out soon. But in the meantime, you can hear them from Dr. Michael. He had them on their show. So there it is right there. I'm not going to read the title because, but How Blank Control UFO Programs, Exopolitics, Daniel and Derek. And so they have some very interesting things to say about their father. Here's another show they did. People are saying, thank you. This is very interesting. So, no, somebody was disappointed that I killed the spider. It was a big, big, nasty spider. Had to be done. It did look pretty threatening. So, Pink Floyd's album cover is very interesting. So, investigating Daniel Salter's USAF NRO career and his UFO ET revelations. There you go. We also had Sergeant Clifford Stone, and he said that when he was in the service, that there was various ETs that they collectively called the Heinz 57. So this is Sergeant Clifford Stone, very, very important part of the whole disclosure narrative, which again, it kind of bothers me that all the way back in, 2001, 1996 even is when he first came out, that we had Sergeant Clifford Stone giving us information that's much more detailed than this controlled drip, drip, drip disclosure that we're getting now. Because he was actually involved in an alien crash retrieval program. And let's go through the slides anyway. So there he is. Here's his book, by the way, Eyes Only, The Story of Clifford Stone and UFO Crash Retrievals, forward by Robert Salas, introduction interviews by Paola Harris. Confidential, need-to-know basis is what it says right there. So here's what he had to say. He worked as a cover job in the U.S. Army, so he had a regular day job, but then occasionally they brought him out to do classified crash retrieval missions for UFOs. He did appear at 2 different Disclosure Project events, one in 96, another one, the main one in 2001, with Dr. Greer, and I was able to meet and speak with him extensively beginning on May 10th, 2001. And he was approachable. He was actually, I thought he was a really great guy, and I was glad that we got the chance to connect. So when he was out on these assignments, there was an Air Force colonel who gave him a flip book in a big binder, 3-ring binder, and it described these different types of extraterrestrials that were out there. And one of the things that I found so fascinating is that he said all the way back then when they were doing this, which I guess would have been in the 80s or so, maybe 70s, 80s, that there was our own military-industrial complex had identified 57 different varieties of extraterrestrials that were visiting the Earth. This is, again, such a huge part of disclosure, and it's like, why can't we be back to where we already were? We already had this 24 years ago. We already had this in our hands. And what was so weird was that they were described as the Heinz 57, like the ketchup. They were all various different types of humans, and some of them looked very similarly to us in terms of their appearance. There was one type that was actually like a Chewbacca type, believe it or not. It actually had a lot of hair on it, maybe like the concept of the Sasquatch. But you had grays, you had ones with the larger eyes, you had ones that looked more human but with different colors of skin. There were reptilians apparently. I've heard that there are aquatics as well. So again, this is, what Dr. Eric Davis recently was talking about, the 4 main types, right? That you have the grays, you have reptilians, or you have tall grays, short grays, reptilians, and Nordics, I think where he was going with that. But it goes way beyond that. 57 different varieties, and they're all essentially human. These are the different types that have crashed here, and of course you have reptilians. So this is kind of like establishing, there's a whole part of our government, secret government, that's got so much more information on this than we have, that way back then, they already had a binder that had these Heinz 57 ET species in there. That is just amazing. It is a phenomenal thing to think about all that stuff and what it means for today. So he would have telepathic interactions with any being that crashed its ship here, and he would vividly re-experience the pain of its injuries, the fear of its impending death, and he actually broke down in tears on the stage during this closed executive summary briefing, which I couldn't believe it. He actually had to walk off the stage and cry. And this did not happen the day before in the one that everybody gets to see, which is from May 9th, the open event that's available on video. Since I was in the room, I do remember that the May 10th event was filmed. Unfortunately, it was never released. Dr. Greer was unable to locate a copy. If anybody knows where the copy is, please speak out. It would be wonderful if we could ever find that. I'm sure Greer would release it if you could get back in touch with him. But then again, Sergeant Stone revealed that he had a standing ovation from the VIPs after all his revelations. And there were supposedly members of Congress in there. I didn't recognize anybody, but they were supposedly there. And then again, what happened a few months later took away all of that momentum It was so frustrating that we were that close. But again, disclosure might have been set up at that point because this event of 2001 was intentional. They wanted to do like a decapitation strike. They wanted to bring the world to its knees. And if that didn't work, then the disclosure thing could have been brought back out. But it didn't work out the way they planned at all. So I just want to point out here in the last few minutes of our show, because I've got a backache and we can't just go on forever, but I do still have 4,000 people watching. The number 57 was immediately provocative to me because, again, it shows up very similarly in the Law of One series, which was filling in many cracks. So this was done by Dr. Don Elkins, Jim McCarty, and Carla Ruckert, a telepathic contact from 1981 to 84, mainly in 1981. And so this was claiming to be a UFO intelligence. And he asked in session 6, question 24, do any of the UFOs presently reported come from other planets here at this time, or do you have this knowledge? And then the answer is, I am one of the members of the Confederation of Planets in the service of the Infinite Creator. There are approximately 53 civilizations comprising approximately 500 individual planetary consciousness complexes in this confederation. So you have 53 civilizations that live on a total of about 500 planets. 53 and 57 are very, very similar numbers, which I find really, really fascinating. You got the Heinz 57, you got the 53 in the Confederation. The Confederation are the ETs who are directly working with us in our airspace. And so this is, again, one of those really freakish, fascinating correspondences between the Law of One material and what we see from independent insider revelations. It just totally blew me away. The Confederation, they say, contains those from your own planet attaining dimensions beyond your third. It contains planetary entities within your solar system, and it contains planetary entities from other galaxies. It is a true confederation in that its members are not alike, but are allied in service according to the Law of One. So I do believe the Law of One was an accurate transmission, and it's got really great wisdom in it, which is why I always use it. George Hunt Williamson also was one of the precursor contacts. He had contact with those 1950s human ETs, and he spoke about a negative group. So you got 53 groups in the Confederation, which is positive, 53 civilizations, and then you have 6 more that were the evil ones, and this, again, I think is going to be like your insectoids and reptilians and certain types of grays. The Draco Confederation, the evil, what they call in the Law of One, the Orion Confederation or the Orion Group. So when you add those up, 53 plus 6 is 59. That's only 3 away from the Heinz 57. And then again, you'd have negative and positive groups operating in our airspace. So that was one of the things that really, really blew me away. And again, it's like integrated ufology, taking it beyond just, oh, they're all dangerous, oh, they're all a threat. I think this is much bigger than that. I think that positive, benevolent human ETs are responsible for so many aspects of our culture, contacting indigenous civilizations, bringing us up to speed on how to make wheat out of, the grain itself, how to grind the grain, and giving us civilization, animal husbandry, how to use fire, how to cook, how to do all these interesting things. I think there's a whole bunch of stuff that these benevolent civilizations have brought to our attention. So yes, I do believe that the Confederation is a benevolent organization. We could think of these beings as angelic in nature, and their ultimate purpose is the management and transfer of planetary populations. Where the universe is built around the third density illusion, planets like us have beings in third density. We don't know everything. It's never harder than it is here. We work through our blindness and confusion, but ultimately everything comes back to the spiritual perspective, where we go through an ascension event transitioning into fourth density, predicted, as I said, in 35 different ancient prophecies, often based on the idea of a grain mill. And the mill is like the Earth's axis. And we're going through this ascension process, predicted in 35 different ancient traditions. It is happening. Again, it's completely apart from me. I've just put these pieces together for you so you can understand. And I do believe that this ascension event is benevolent. The Law of One predicts that we're going to have 100 to 700 years of transition, and we may yet see some sort of first wave after we get disclosure. So the Michael prophecies, we're talking around the year 2025, And these events, again, do seem to have clustered around this time. It looks like it's going to take a little longer than that. It would have been nice if it all happened in 2025, but I believe in time that 2025 is going to look like the big turning point. He won the election. Many interesting things are going on right now. We're having disclosure getting ready to happen, 3i Atlas. It's a very intense time. So I began studying this Law of One material in 1996, and I was a published expert on it by May 10th, 2001 when I went to that event, whereas Dr. Elkins, who was asking the questions, had been researching UFOs since the 1950s, believing that telepathic communication was the best approach. The ultimate message that the Law of One gives us is that the universe is really only one mind. There's only one creator, one infinite creator, and that galaxies are individuated beings, or logoi. Each galaxy designs the beings that will live on its planets, and it says that 40% of the universe is populated with human-like beings. So galaxies are actually individuated beings that are like super creators, and it explains through the term logos that Jesus Christ is the galactic creator. So many ETs, it's a very big deal that Jesus came here to Earth and had to share with us. The Law of One also tells us there are beings in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th densities. It's all spiritual. We're all learning to grow spiritually. There are negative beings, but they only help us grow. They're not allowed to interfere more than what we authorize. 7th dimensional beings move into foreverness, where they become basically reunified with the one infinite creator. And then confederations like this one form to assist 3rd density planet. And it's normal for every 3D world to have a vast hidden history of artifacts and things, but the universe is ultimately designed to teach us love and forgiveness. When we get karma, that's when we're deviating from these loving principles. They call that the first distortion, but our goal is to eventually reunify with the Creator, occurring in a series of progressive evolutionary leaps. So insiders were fascinated by these corollaries with all this different stuff. And again, it's really, really cool that we have this resource available to us. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to, hold on. We're going to get this going right away. So yeah, I've definitely been very grateful to have you guys here today. I guess before we close, let's ask what kind of questions we have, or let's just interact with you guys a little bit here. Disclosure is happening more than ever. It says Moon at the back. Amazing how many paranormal experiencers invoke the name of Jesus Christ to head off negative interactions. That's right. It is a very powerful name. It's something you can really use. Julie Batchelder says, I only want the best for you, David. Thank you very much. We still have 4,000 concurrent viewers. Charlie Winter just donated. Do you think the Alliance has their own version of the SSP? Maybe Starseeds are a part of a similar program. Yeah, they probably do. Thank you for another amazing show. I think they definitely do. And I wouldn't be surprised if they have their own assets that they could use to fight against whatever 3i Atlas is going to do, if it's meant to be something negative. So, we just have to keep ourselves aware of the possibilities of what could occur. We still got 4,039.99 right now, the viewers. Deborah Oulette says, David, you're helping voice the Alliance's words. Well, I don't know that. They've never really spoken to me directly. I hope they like me. I'm trying to do the best I can to help them out. I love that you don't just read the super chats. Well, I tried to be more on the camera with you guys today. But thank you, David. I did have a question, but it won't come up to me until after the show. Have you seen any of the latest information drops? I guess not. So anyway, people are saying I resonate. God the Father, holy in work, Son, my Lord heart, my salvation heart in Christ, his Christ is in me. I'm universal and I never die. So yeah, the catch up, the Heinz 57. We love you, David. Thank you for all your hard work. Pamela Crabtree, thank you so much, David, for researching the truth. Let's do a meditation. Okay, Ross Feinstein, one of our moderators. This is Ross. Just wanted to send you some love. You feel like family. Thank you very much, Ross. Really appreciate it. This is David's basic course, Love 101. That's right. So yes, it is a good time for us to do a meditation. That's what somebody was just saying. And so let's now close your eyes, put both feet flat on the floor. I'll do it too here. Take a nice deep breath and let it go. Tuning in to that moment of stillness, feeling at peace with ourselves, with the time that we've shared here together, allowing ourselves to feel the warmth, the love, the protection that we all share in the one infinite Creator, the white light of the Christ consciousness, this glorious unity that entwines and binds us in the loving filaments of a universe predicated upon forgiveness, upon happiness, upon joy, upon the success that comes from claiming and affirming our beingness and our righteousness as souls. We allow ourselves to feel that grace, to go deep into stillness now, to feel the silence, to feel the satisfaction, to feel the emptiness that overflows through the universe in all of its different capacities. Elevating ourselves into that emptiness now, becoming ever more complete as souls, recognizing our divinity, recognizing the heritage that we all share, the glory that cannot be overturned, but exists intrinsically within each of us, the happiness that comes up without any effort from living an honest and pure and wholesome life, from being true to our ideals, true to our guidance, living in the now, having that wonderment that stretches beyond the definitions that would normally box us in and impose any sense of limitations. Yes, we are all so happy now about what we get to share with each other. We're happy about the communion that we have through the internet, happy about this vibrational matrix of consciousness that we create together through meditation, enlivening the planet with vibrations of holiness and sanctity, bringing us to higher and higher levels of self-integration, feeling the light permeating through the areas of conflict, easing international tensions, resolving long-standing issues. Just being so relaxed now, feeling such a sense of warmth and peace, the happiness that comes so naturally when we just exhibit all of these characteristics naturally within ourselves. The glory of being alive, the glory of being here in the now, in this moment, together, sharing all of the mysteries, all of the unspoken traditions, those aspects of ourselves that have remained hidden for so long. Dormant potentials in the human consciousness now being awakened through the ascension process. Feeling that total transfiguration that occurs as we reunify with that higher consciousness, as we see that these insider revelations are leading to civilization-defining events. Feeling the relaxation, allowing ourselves to flow deeper and deeper into a sense of stillness and peace, and tranquility and love. And again now, feeling and anchoring in with your index finger on the right hand. You're lifting that finger up, lift it up a little more, lift up your right finger a little more, and then just drop it and let it go down. And imagine yourself dropping into a nice big pool of deep blue water. Now, once again, Lifting your right finger, lifting it up higher, higher, lifting it up higher and higher, and let it go. Feeling yourself dropping deeper and deeper into that pool of water. Exaltation in the name of Jesus Christ. Exaltation in the name of the one infinite Creator. Feeling that glory that comes from knowing that you are whole and complete and pure, that love and forgiveness is available to you at all times, should you choose to receive the healings and the blessings that the universe can provide. Going through our own cosmic initiation, crucifixion process, we're all experiencing it in different ways. For as I do these things, so shall you do them, and greater things. For I go unto my Father and Mother God. These are the words of Jesus. And we are all experiencing this now. Experiencing how we can transform ourselves and be ever so much more relaxed. Feel that peace. Feel the currents of love flowing through you. And just let yourself go. There's no need to strive here. There's no need to worry. No need to be upset. Your life is being transformed. You are being healed. You are being renewed. You are being revivified in the glory of the white light of the one infinite Creator. You cannot die. You will always exist. You will always be there in the universe's love. For we do know that we are the light. We are the love. We are all embodiments of the one infinite Creator. And this is as it was, as it is now, and as it always shall be. And nothing and no one can ever take that from us. We are so grateful this day for the Alliance. We are so grateful for the brave sacrifices of these men and women, what they have done to bring about peace, to bring about change in the planet. We know that their work is not in vain. We know that they are helping the planet dramatically, and we thank them for their service. We just had Veterans Day. We honor their service. We honor all those who are light workers, who are working to implement change, to uplift the planet, surrounding all of them in white light, and of course, loving yourself. Look in the mirror and see someone who you can love. Smile when you look at yourself. Think about all the good that you've done. Think about how if someone is trying to denigrate you or hurt you, that you have the right to reclaim your own sovereignty. You have the right to stand up for yourself, to be a positive influence, and to do what needs to be done to maintain healthy boundaries wherever necessary. For again, you are a perfect embodiment holographically of the one infinite Creator. So deeply relaxed now, experiencing the joy of this continuity of consciousness that we share in the higher realms. Feeling this glory of having this time together, the glory of sharing space. And if any ads come up, you just hit skip, no big deal. Keep on going. We're in this meditation, holding that state perfectly together, feeling that glory of remembrance of who and what and where we really are here in the now. For this is the time of times. We've lived through this for a reason. We came to this earth to be an embodiment of the grace of the Creator, to be a manifestation of the will of the universe, to share our knowledge with those in need, to feel ourselves revivified and purified by the knowledge that we have. In the name of Jesus Christ, we consecrate this work for the betterment of all humankind, and we ask that it be protected and that we only serve the highest light possible, the highest Christ wisdom and compassion and forgiveness that we can. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe. Thank you for all that we've done here today. And so it is. Adonai and Amen. All right. Well, we lost about 500 people, but that happens. David, God bless you for all you do to wake up humanity. You are God's gift to us all. says Curious L. Marcus Inks says I let it all go. Scott Monson said giant loving hugs. L. Lavette Nelson says in the name of Jesus. Yes, Jesus is very important to me. Prince Royal, I remember my question. When do you think med beds will roll out for the public? I don't know, but it is being telegraphed. Anna Nishida, fantastic show as usual, David. Now I can return to my bed happily. Love you very much. Kev the Tech, amen, God bless. Thank you, David, for an excellent show. So grateful for you. Amen, David, says Deanna Dragovich. Perfect Sunday meditation. We are all grateful for you hosting this live show, and God bless us all. Yeah, so I think that we might get into the cosmic history of the solar system a little more next week. The Insider Revelation thing that we've done has certainly got us to that place where we can start to have that discussion. I have a lot more slides. I always end up building more slides than I need. That's just kind of part of what happens. But all the tech is coming out next year, says Building Dreams. I like your optimism. Wonderful, says James Green. Janet Wilcoxon says great meditation. Kaleidoscope Eye says, David, thank you for all your time, effort, and energy, brother. Go Stavati. Yes, we have at least 3 deals with Stavati that hopefully are getting ready to pop. I really hope they do. That would be great. We're getting really close to that. Today, MedBeds rollout decoupled from BRV. Hurrah, says Myrna Gilgore. Thank you, David from Australia, says Leanne Bourne. Amen, hallelujah, says Cher Meek Horswill. How is Monica the Moose? I haven't seen her in a while, which, you don't really want to run into the moose necessarily. Jacob Scherer donated $2. It says thank you. Thank you for the laughter, says Otis Carr. Frequency 963 says that was really nice, David. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to join with everyone here during your meditations. Emily Howard, blessings to everyone. I love cosmic history. I love hearing about the Law of One. I haven't read it yet. I'm going to read Living the Law of One next on Audible. I hadn't heard about that one. Chagim Trunkpa quote from Scarlet Fire, awakening is always by accident, but meditation makes you more accident prone. Scarlet Fire says 51% service to others will open the opportunities your true heart yearns for. Ross Feinstein says, hey, David, that super chat was from my wife, Jill. Please give her a shout. Yes, thank you, Jill Feinstein. Lieslot Lund Ruddick says, thank you, David. God bless you. An awesome meditation. Richard Whitney, one of our best donors, says he's crown number 2. Thank you, David. Amen for the truth. Namaste. Kathy McIntyre, Ohio International House. Chris G says, I can't wait to meet with my galactic family. Tanya Fetty, you can mail that to me. We gave the P.O. box out earlier in the show. I sure missed the Project Looking Glass information from you, says Tom Led. So yes, great meditation. Tell some stories about beings with elongated skulls. We probably are going to get into that here. I really connected to my inner child in the meditation. So beautiful, purity and innocence. Thank you, David, says Rough Trader. Thank you to everyone here. Thanks so much. I appreciate your dedication and work. I'm praying for a better future where none of us have to suffer in any way. I see that future. I can touch it and make it a reality. Frequency says, I love your sideburns. All right, folks. David, you should be a Catholic priest, says Rita Penishish. Thank you for that. A Guru Dev post said the other day, said, prayer is asking God, meditation is listening to God. Sydney Mansfield said that was very nice. Space Cadet Lottie says, awesome teachings as always. Thank you so kindly. Frank Barter, I have a sore back too, David. I'm sending you healing vibrations. Jacqueline, I'm always happy to see you come on. Yeah, I'm glad that you guys still show up. I'm happy to keep doing this as long as I'm around. I want to stick around for you guys. Got to keep myself alive. That's very important. There's lots of oppositional forces out there, and we hope for the best. Nothing is what they say. We are all being played, says Tim Stingle. Whoever said that accident phrase, LOL, 100% fact. Standing by for next Sunday, says Midnight Mark. Yeah, hopefully my life is going to calm down a little bit. If we can get some Stavati stuff to happen, it really will. I want to be able to do as much as I can to help everybody be on the right track. Anyway, we're going to see you guys next week, hopefully all things considered. Thank you for watching, and I will be back as soon as I can. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you on the next show. Bye for now.